a villain notorious and feared by all, a sword stained crimson with blood, and a young lady, useless and foolish, like a sheltered greenhouse flower. Through some miraculous connection, the fates of these two became intertwined in ways unimaginable. Magic, swordsmanship, monsters, and the men who ruled the world. How will this journey unfold? And how will their love story blossom? Let's discover it together. The man's gaze caught a beautiful figure seated in the garden, and he couldn't help but chuckle, thinking, "Look there, that seemingly beautiful girl sitting in the garden. Isn't she that foolish young lady, Miss Ern? She's nothing but a complete flirt, willing to chase after and banter with knights, saying she wants to discuss the future with them. She's also utterly obsessed with money and wealth. As a noble woman with foreign blood, she acts without shame, as if she doesn't know the meaning of embarrassment. She has become the laughingstock of the entire empire, frequently appearing in the news with the most bizarre stories. It's no exaggeration to call her an idiot, a disgrace to her family. These are the things passers-by gossip about whenever they see her." At this, the man sighed, lamenting she ought to hang her head in shame, yet she always seeks the center of attention. What a disgrace. Just then, the beautiful young lady suddenly turned her head, granting the man a clear view of her stunningly exquisite face. He was taken aback, admiration inevitably showing in his eyes. She truly is as beautiful as the legends say. Suddenly, he turned to his friend beside him and declared, "I'm going to try and talk to her." This utterly bewildered his friend. "You just finished tearing her down, and now you want to approach her." He shot off like the wind towards the girl, replying, "Who cares? She's beautiful. That's enough." Meanwhile, Miss Ern elegantly stirred the tea before her, her eyes flickering slightly, somewhat surprised by the person who had suddenly appeared before her. It was the very same man. He smiled, exuding charm, and said, "Hello, beautiful. Why is such a lovely lady sitting here all alone? Are you waiting for someone?" As he spoke, he tried his utmost to put on his most handsome expression, and chuckled lightly. Miss Irene, overcoming her initial surprise, covered her mouth and gasped dramatically, "Oh, my goodness heavens. How did you know I was searching for my ideal type?" The man continued smiling and asked, "Really? And what might your ideal type be?" Miss Ern replied nonchalantly, "My ideal type is a man who can join me in the afterlife." This answer left the young lord utterly speechless, dumbfounded. "Wait, what did you just say? A man who can join you in the afterlife?" Miss Ern continued to explain, "Don't you understand what I mean? I mean, if I die first, that man must be willing to be buried alive with me in my tomb." Imagining the scene, the man couldn't help but shudder in fear. Meanwhile, Miss Ern continued speaking gravely, looking not at all like she was joking. "He is someone who would feel pain if I were injured. If any accident befell me, he would die of a broken heart. That's all I ask of the man who would accompany me. Finding the right person for oneself is much harder than I thought. If you know anyone suitable, please introduce him to me. Or, would you like to be that person?" The young lady's ominous aura and cruel words nearly petrified the man, causing him to break down. He leaped up in terror, hastily blurting out, I have to go, excuse me." Then he fled desperately, as if chased by a ghost. Meanwhile, Miss Ern calmly watched his retreating figure, then sighed. She relaxed, leaning back in her chair, and stated, "Of course, I am not that foolish Miss Ern, but the notorious villain, Urquana. I am Urquana, leader of the underworld organization in the kingdom of Nymir. On the day the kingdom fell, I fought against the armies of the Nephilim Empire, and then sacrificed myself. Or so I thought." Staring into the empty space before her, the notorious villain Urquana, now inhabiting the body of the foolish Miss Aaron, cursed through gritted teeth, "This damned mission. What do you want from me?" Before her eyes, a virtual panel, invisible to others, materialized out of thin air. Several lines of text were clearly written upon it, detailing the mission: find true love. The condition for completion was to fall in love with a man of immense influence, the most powerful man in the world. The penalty for failure was the sacrificed soul being reclaimed, unable to reincarnate. The time limit was 2 years. The beautiful lady sighed. "Villainess Urquana, not only am I living in someone else's body, but I also have to carry out this damned mission. If I don't fall in love with the most powerful man in the world, I will die. And in the Nephilim kingdom, there are only 3 suitable candidates. The first candidate is Crown Prince Kiers Deloyd, the young and handsome Crown Prince. However, it was he who ignited the war that destroyed the Niram kingdom. And the death of the villainous Urquana was caused by this very Crown Prince during the war he initiated. The second candidate is symbolized by the powerful and noble Black Panther, Heslin, the master of the Magic Tower. He only recently became the Tower Master and is a young duke of the Nephilim Empire. His face is as beautiful as a god's, yet his soul is exceptionally dark. In my previous life, I broke into his tower and stole everything. I should probably avoid him. The last remaining candidate leads the merchant guild, Rizian Luo. Among the 3 most powerful men in the Nephilim kingdom, he is the only one who had no conflict with Urquana in her past life. He is the head of the Luo family, known for his gentle, elegant, and saintly demeanor. Thinking carefully, he truly is the most promising candidate. No, I should say he is the only candidate. After a moment of contemplation, Miss Ern, possessing the soul of the villainess, thought irritably, "But why must I undertake this damned mission just to escape death? I've already died once. This is utterly depressing. Who would want to do such a mission?" Her gaze drifted listlessly towards the fiery red flowers in the garden. They were vividly beautiful, yet dazzlingly empty, much like her own past life. This troublesome rebirth. I never needed it in the first place, so why was it given to me? It all began a few months ago at the funeral of this body's previous owner. From that day forward, she, with the essence of a villainess, awoke within the body of this foolish young lady. It was a month before the morning bells tolled and echoed through the castle. It's uncertain if anyone lamented the desolation and decay of this place. Strangely, no relatives attended the funeral of a young girl. Isn't that the foolish Miss Ern, the one famous for wearing tacky pink dresses and constantly writing love letters to handsome men? One person's comment drew laughter from another. "Oh, I remember now. Didn't Yancek tear up her love letter while crying?" Unaware of their noisy conversation, the closed eyelids of the deceased girl suddenly twitched. In the silence, a faint flicker of consciousness began to spark to life. Ugh, so noisy. Where am I? Andern. Sounds familiar, but that's not my name. Ah, what is this unpleasant smell? Where have I smelled this before? With this thought, the girl, her eyes still closed, struggled to identify the scent. Is this the smell of perfume? She startled awake abruptly, her eyes snapping open. It was a narrow and dark space. Helplessly, she found her body unable to move. What's going on? It's as if my body has taken some kind of paralyzing drug. Then she heard the idle chatter of 2 funeral home employees. It seems the mourners only came reluctantly, right? Yeah, and the atmosphere in the capital is probably quite bad too. The name Mendina is well known. That's why they made the effort to come here. Nowadays, the Mendina reputation has fallen quite a bit. Still, today, I really wanted to mourn that girl properly, the male employee murmured, blushing. This prompted his female colleague beside him to tease. So even without guests, you don't want to go home early. Huh. Reminded by his companion, the man flashed a smug grin. Just do it discreetly and come back early, all right. This is a rare opportunity, all thanks to that foolish Miss Ern. Meanwhile, within the body lying in the coffin, Urquana's soul felt utterly exasperated. What is this? Even if they don't mention me, I'm annoyed. However, thanks to those people and their words, she managed to roughly guess the situation. From her perspective, the ceiling was high and elaborately decorated. That unpleasant, pungent scent was meant to mask the smell of death, and what she hadn't realized until now were the beautiful fresh flowers placed upon the body in her coffin. Urquana's soul seethed with anger. I died surrounded by the royal army. That was my last memory. So this might be my funeral, but offering flowers and a coffin for the deceased and expressing condolences is a royal funeral custom. What on earth are they thinking? Holding a royal-style funeral for me when I was a general of the kingdom of Nymir. Could I be in someone else's body? Just then, the female funeral home employee, who was about to leave, suddenly stopped. Then, seemingly anxious, she turned to look at the coffin behind her and then at her companion. The man asked, puzzled, "Why are you looking at me?" He received her somewhat worried reply. "Ah, I thought I heard someone talking in the hallway." "Ha, impossible. You're probably just tired." The two laughed and reassured each other. But what they didn't expect was for the door before them to suddenly swing open. Slightly startled, they exclaimed, "Is there another visitor?" Footsteps echoed as a girl dressed in a maid's uniform entered. She looked sorrowful and addressed the two funeral home employees. "I am the maid who served this lady. I came here to offer her flowers." Hearing this, the two employees clasped their hands and bowed. "Very well. Then we shall leave you to be more comfortable." The maid then approached the coffin. Sensing someone drawing near, the villainous Urquana, inside Miss Ern's body, told herself perhaps she should close her eyes again. Then she heard the maid's voice. "My lady, you weren't even nobility, yet you always complained about everything. Serving you was truly difficult for me, my lady. So, I'll be taking custody of the jewelry you collected. Not seeing your ill-tempered face again truly makes me very sad, my lady." Her words dripped with malice, showing no pity for the deceased. This attitude infuriated the villainous Urquana to no end. She told herself she couldn't stand it anymore. Anger forced her eyes wide open as she glared at the maid before her. "I'm so angry I have to wake up." Accompanied by the young lady's voice, this terrified the maid, making her tremble all over. "Where am I?" the young lady lying in the coffin continued to ask, receiving only the maid's look of astonishment, terror, and alarm, as if seeing the dead come back to life. Fear gripped the maid, causing her to scream and collapse onto the floor. The two funeral home employees, who were just leaving, heard the scream and stopped in shock, asking anxiously, "What's wrong, miss?" Then they watched in stunned disbelief as the beautiful woman lying in the coffin slowly sat up quite normally. The beautiful woman spoke in a clear voice. "Where's this place?" This naturally sent the three people in the room into panic screams. "Oh heavens, the dead has risen. It's a demon. A demon has appeared." Urquana felt helpless amidst the uproar. Then, as she looked down at her own soft, fair hands, she noticed something else strange. "What is this? These are my hands. Why are my hands so soft and small?" With unanswered questions swirling, compounded by the others still making a racket, Urquana felt utterly exasperated. "Quick, pierce it. Purify it with the purification sword." "But we don't know any exorcism. This sword is just ceremonial." The villainous soul within the young lady's body sighed. "Oh, my head is starting to ache. I need to get out of here first." With that thought, she cut through the trio's commotion, saying, "Actually, I just want to try it once out of curiosity." Hearing this, despite her extreme fear, the female funeral home employee decided to try communicating with the person she believed to be a demon. "Try? Try what?" The young lady replied with a meaningful smile. "I was curious about what would happen if I died, so I pretended to be dead." This unexpected answer stunned the three people before her. Unable to comprehend the young lady's reasoning, one of the funeral home employees asked again, "But your heart had stopped beating." Lady Ern calmly replied, "There's a medicine that can put me into a state of suspended animation, right? I just needed to use that." After a moment of silence, the female funeral home employee shouted angrily, "Hey, are you insane? Daring to joke about your own death just out of curiosity." Hearing this, Lady Ern smiled and shook her head. It was just a harmless prank. As soon as she finished speaking, she fixed the three people before her with a sharp, uncomfortable gaze. "However, thanks to this prank, I've seen the true colors of people like you." This statement greatly shocked the funeral home employees. Ern continued softly, "So, about those words I heard while I was in the coffin earlier, would you like to discuss them with this crazy woman in court? What do you think would happen? If the vice minister finds out you dare to gossip about the deceased right in front of him, you'll be demoted and end up handling funerals only in the countryside, won't you? Ah, perhaps you did it deliberately so you could work there. I'll report it to the vice minister right away then." Her sharp words terrified the funeral home employees, and even the maid broke out in a panicked sweat. Finally, the three trembled and bowed before Lady Ern, apologizing weakly. "We're sorry." Ern glanced coldly at the pitiful maid from before. "What are you doing just standing there blankly? Aren't you going to help me up quickly? I want to go wash out these ears as soon as possible." Faced with the young lady's terrifying gaze and powerful aura, the maid clutched her skirt fearfully, then slowly approached the young lady. Before her, the maid carefully and tremblingly helped the young lady sit up from the coffin. As her body hadn't fully recovered, the villainous Urquana stumbled down the steps, her mind racing with thoughts. "Although I don't know exactly what happened to me, but after experiencing that nightmarish event, at least I'm alive now. returning to her own residence, a mansion that looked grand and spacious from the outside. But the creaking sound of the windows when the wind blew revealed the building's true condition. It looked large, but it was merely a mansion falling further into disrepair. However, that wasn't the point. Most importantly, she looked into the mirror, reflecting a beautiful young lady, the villainess Urquana. She touched her current face with mixed feelings. This body is young and beautiful, Urquana thought. It's not that I dislike it. But can these hands still hold a sword? She sighed, perhaps in this body, I no longer need to wield one. Besides, now isn't the time to worry about that. With a serious expression, she picked up the papers placed on the table. Since I've become fairly accustomed to this possession, I should organize the situation. I remember some things that happened in the past. Her previous life was as Urquana, a notorious villainess known from battlefields drenched in blood and fire. Her past affiliation was with the Duchy of Nyram, a now-destroyed kingdom, sometimes referred to as the Cruel Empire. Urquana's old position in her past life was the leader of Ram Chronicle, a secret organization within the Duchy of Nyram. And at this moment, she reconfirmed that the self-named Urquana had indeed died in that war. On the day the Duchy of Nyram was overthrown, her last memory was fighting the Imperial Army. After that, everything became so strange. She hadn't died, but had instead entered the body of a young woman named Ern. Furthermore, the Nephilim Empire, controlled by Crown Prince Kiki, was currently the most powerful nation in the world. Miss Ern hailed from Medina family, one of the 10 most prestigious families in the empire. Yet, this young lady was known by all as an idiot, an outcast, and an eccentric. Her mother was a noble woman from high society, but her father had been a wandering mercenary. He ran off after her mother gave birth to her. The mother passed away, and the father vanished after leaving Ern with her mother's family, the Medinas. As she jotted down what she could remember, she muttered to herself, in truth, Ern is an orphan with only half noble blood. These circumstances irritated the villainous Urquana. This is no different from abandoning a child in the marketplace. No wonder the young lady only had one maid, and even that maid had schemes of her own. How vexing, she cried out, tossing aside the paper in her hand before slumping wearily onto the table, raging. In my past life, I was called a villainess, I was cursed, I had to endure all sorts of suffering in this world, and my current situation isn't much better. Why must my life be so wretched? The place where the villainous Urquana grew up, the Duchy of Nyram, was a land teeming with monsters and outlaws of every kind. It was a nation built upon wastelands, a place regarded by outsiders as forsaken territory, rife with reckless smuggling. Illegal drug manufacturing facilities were commonplace. It was even the only nation in the world that practiced slavery. That country was truly a haven for criminals. In Urquana's previous life, when she was but a child in the lowest slave class, involved being sent into dungeons to mine magic stones. But by some miracle, she learned swordsmanship and grew stronger, eventually becoming the duchy's mightiest individual, a supreme master. From that point on, her wandering life took a drastic, uncontrollable turn. From the lowest, most wretched slave class, she overcame all obstacles to become a high-ranking general of the Duchy of Nyram and served as the head of a secret organization. Yet, how could things possibly stop there? She secretly wished she could narrate her life simply. Because even after becoming a supreme master, this poor girl, until the day she died, still had to serve as a slave to the Duchy of Nyram. She was bound to the duchy by a heart stone embedded in her chest. Anyone possessing this stone became a slave, forced to obey any command from their master, suffering torment worse than hell itself if they defied. The leaders of the Duchy of Nyram wanted to control that secret organization as they pleased, so they implanted heartstones within Urquana and her comrades, turning them into slaves. As if that wasn't misfortune enough, when the Nephilim Empire crossed the border and declared war, the leaders of the Duchy of Nyram conceived a plan. If they could possess the body of the duchy's strongest warrior, Urquana, and summon a demon to inhabit it, they could defeat the Nephilim Empire in battle. That absurd idea placed Urquana in extreme peril, but fortunately, the terrifying plan failed. Just then, the man leading the duchy stared in horror at the girl standing before him, unable to believe how she had broken free from the Heartstone's control. Urquana, holding a blood-soaked sword, spoke with a mocking smile. "Why do you look frightened, as if you've seen a ghost? I merely came to offer my thanks. Who knew that demon summoning ritual would fail, and, incidentally, shatter the heartstone within me." Her words were accompanied by a ferocious expression. Terror gripped the leader. He pleaded desperately, attempting to reason with Urquana, but how could she possibly agree? She intended to repay these people with the most extreme agony before finally sending them to the netherworld. The leader's blood-curdling screams echoed until he was utterly dead. Urquana felt satisfied with her revenge. Seizing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, with the trouble resolved, she eliminated all the leaders of the Duchy of Nyram. Although that was a thrilling and satisfying moment of revenge, with the leadership lost in the war, the duchy's defeat was inevitable. So, Urquana made a decision, shouting loudly to all the warriors, "Listen, everyone. The ones who controlled you are dead. You are free. Flee, all of you. I will bring this nation to its end." And so, she liberated her comrades, remaining behind in the duchy herself. In that final battle, she bravely fought against countless imperial soldiers. That scene was quite magnificent, wasn't it? Perhaps. Maybe only I think so. Returning to the present, she mocked herself. But who would have thought I could actually be revived, even if it meant possessing someone else's body? Had I known, I wouldn't have acted so heroically. Just then, the maid brought a tray, placing it heavily on the table. On it lay only a single slice of bread and one small berry. The maid spoke impatiently to the lady. "Milady, what scheme are you plotting now? The butler and everyone else hope Lady Ern won't lose her mind. Please eat quickly." Meanwhile, Ern was still pondering. This body is also called Ern, the same as my nickname in my past life. Even the names are so similar. Ern and Urquana. Seeing the lady writing something on paper, the maid sneered, asking, "Can you even write?" Suddenly, Ern stopped her pen, looked at the maid, and called her name, Mila. Her past life was Urquana. The body she now possessed was Ern. Though completely different, they shared similar names and the same nickname. Could there be some connection? This Urquana did not know. With this thought, she asked the maid directly, "Mila, since when did you start calling me Lady Ern? Is there any particular reason you call me Ari instead of Ern?" Hearing this, the maid suddenly burst into laughter. "Oh, right, because that medicine caused you to faint. Your mind is muddled, isn't it? You're starting to talk nonsense." Hearing the maid's teasing, Ern felt extremely weary. This maid was Mila, Lady Ern's only attendant, and the one who had spoken ill of her at the funeral. But in recent days, it became clear she was a useful source of information. She loved to talk and couldn't keep a secret. Thanks to this, Ern had extracted much information. However, to get her to speak without thinking, Ern needed to employ some acting. So she joined in with a foolish laugh. "You're right, haha. Because of the medicine side effects, I barely remember anything from the funeral, not even what the priest said then." Seeing the lady's innocent smile, Mila fell silent for a moment, then sighed again. "Oh, heavens, you said you didn't like the name Ern. The suffix was given by your father in the style of the immigrant tribes. You thought people in the Empire would find the name strange, so you asked us to call you Lady Ari." "I see. So that's why everyone calls me Ari now. I remember." She replied calmly, but thought inwardly, so there was nothing special about it. Was my intuition wrong? Mila clicked her tongue and continued. "Besides, the atmosphere in the city is always like this, no matter what happens. I don't know how angry the rest of the family will be." Hearing this, Ern asked curiously, "The rest of the family?" Mila replied that the head of the house was ill and the others were at a resort. This situation sharpened Ern's gaze. Their daughter died, and they are vacationing now. This family is truly something else. After pondering, Ern reminded Mila, "Thank you for telling me. My memory will be unstable for a while, so I'll be relying on you." Hearing this, Mila could only agree reluctantly, muttering, "Oh yes, how annoying. I have so much to do, and now you're asking me about everything you don't remember." Suddenly, Ern stood up abruptly, approached Mila, and asked, "By the way, Mila, have you happened to see my jewelry box?" The question startled the maid. "Jewelry box? How would I know?" She seemed extremely flustered, shouting, "You don't trust poor people like me, so you never let me touch anything valuable, especially after I mentioned my siblings lacked food." Enduring her deafening voice, Ern nodded helplessly and waved a hand. "That's right, I did it." "All right, you can go now. Remember to knock next time." Mila turned and left in a huff. Last time, the young lady clearly said not to knock, or the house would collapse. This is really exhausting. Watching the door slam shut in front of her, Ern couldn't help but chuckle softly. She really is quite foolish, isn't she? She completely bought the excuse about memory loss due to medication. Although she truly doesn't have the original Ern's memories, the words she heard at the funeral still linger clearly in her mind. Back then, this maid viciously said she would take good care of the young lady's secretly collected jewelry. Mila must have planned to run off with the original Ern's jewels right after the funeral, but Ern, now possessing Quana's soul, woke up, likely preventing her from taking them in time. She must have secretly glanced into the room just now. Ern was curious about this secret place and had inquired carefully. Now she was certain there was a secret hidden somewhere in this room, if it was in a hard-to-find spot within this room. Then, the young lady's beautiful eyes scanned the room, finally settling on an area beneath the bed. Let's check immediately. She removed a sparkling gem from her hair accessory, a small, round pearl. Ern calmly tossed the pearl onto the floor. Following a strange trajectory, the pearl rolled straight onto the bed. Seeing this, Ern smiled. Look at this. She approached the area, noticing a strange sound coming from underneath. Could there be something worth a noble lady taking the trouble to hide in such a secret place? Who made such an elaborate hidden door? Beneath the bed was a passage leading straight underground. Ern stepped onto the wooden stairs. Each step creaked. A secret underground space, truly sinister and mysterious. First, I need to light these magic lamps. The dusty corridor was dimly lit, the atmosphere somewhat frightening. When Ern saw the scene at the end of the corridor, her expression turned to shock and dismay. What is this? The area ahead was scattered with sacrificial bird feathers and a large amount of bloodstains. Is this a demon summoning ritual? Only upon getting closer could Ern examine it more carefully. Wait, this stuff. It turned out the red liquid wasn't blood, but paint, and the object placed in the center of the circle was just a sausage. From a distance, she had mistaken it for something horrifying. But wait, her gaze focused on a knife stuck into the sausage. That knife was real, and it looked extremely expensive. Just a glance told her that the person who performed this ritual genuinely wanted to summon a powerful demon. But even if these relics were real, such a fake ritual couldn't possibly summon a demon. Suddenly, she stepped on a piece of paper underfoot. A burnt piece of paper, seemingly a letter. Looking at the contents, it was a letter left by the original Lady Ern. Ern, offer this sacrifice to pray for a wish. I want to fall in love with the finest man in the world, have a beautiful love story, and I will also become the finest lady in the world. Please help me fulfill this wish, and I don't want anyone to find out. Looking at the letter's contents, Ern felt utterly disgusted. What is this? It's like something a child wrote. Just then, a magical light accompanied by a beeping sound appeared before her. Through her eyes, the shock of the villainous siren's soul within Ern could be seen. What is this? Now, a transparent virtual panel materialized. A line of text appeared on the panel, posing a question. Do you wish to fulfill your desire? Without hesitating for long, Ern answered no, though countless questions filled her mind. I don't even know what the mission is. How can I complete it? Unexpectedly, the panel coldly replied, because you refuse to accept, it will be considered a breach of contract, and you must accept the penalty. Seeing this, Ern shouted in anger, throwing the letter to the ground. Penalty? What the hell are you talking about? I don't want to do any mission, nor do I want to accept any penalty. Just then, a strange sound echoed through the dark tunnel. It's no use trying right away. Startled, Ern spun around. Who's there? She cried out, stunned. Who are you? Following her gaze, a man emerged from the darkness, his footsteps echoing softly. A pleasure to meet you. I am Stuart Yoon, the youngest member of the Mason family. He bowed politely, like a nobleman, his striking red eyes fixed on the girl before him with a smile. Please call me Yoon. Miss Ern stared blankly at the boy before her mind racing. Certes, why does that name sound so familiar? Suddenly, the words of one of the leaders who had imprisoned the villainous Quana in her past life surfaced in her mind. He had spoken then of summoning a demon god named Certes. Ha ha ha! As the strongest warrior of our duchy, you, Quana, shall offer yourself as a glorious sacrifice. Ern stared at the person before her, too stunned to speak. So it was you, the demon god, who tried to possess my body in my past life. But looking at him now, why did he seem so friendly and harmless? At first glance, he didn't resemble a ferocious demon god at all. Yet, Ern remained extremely cautious. She reminded herself that although he appeared innocent, his essence was still that of a true demon god. Taking a step back, she asked him sternly, her face hardening, "Was it you who showed me that strange panel?" Faced with the question, Yoon nodded with a sweet smile. "Yes, dear customer." But this attitude infuriated Earn. "What dear customer? That sounds so grating. Who are you calling customer? But never mind that. Let me explain the situation." Yoon, still wearing a friendly smile, continued, "Yes, I'll explain right away, dear customer. Right now, your soul is in her body. You are the Urquana who was offered to me as a sacrifice 6 months ago." At this mention, Earn felt confused. "Are you here to collect the soul for the ritual?" "You know, the ritual failed." Yoon put on a sorrowful expression and sniffled. "That's right, and it failed, so I was only half summoned. Boo-hoo. For the past 6 months, I've been trapped in the gate between the demon realm and the human realm." "That sounds dreadful." "Then, not long ago, someone performed another ritual to summon me." Seizing the key point in his words, Earn's gaze sharpened. She pressed on, "So you escaped the gate." Even though the summoning circle was drawn with paint and a sausage was tied to the sword, Yoon nodded dejectedly. "I really just wanted to get out." After hearing this story, Earn didn't know what to say. A botched ritual and a pathetic demon god. What a perfect combination. Yoon continued his tale with a sigh, but the good times didn't last. Tragedy followed. Afterwards, the original owner of this body, Earn, died of a heart attack while summoning me. One could partly understand this. A normal person suddenly succeeding in summoning a demon god would inevitably die from being unable to control the power, she thought. But wait, Earn stared at him, demanding, "Then why am I in a dead person's body?" Yin explained excitedly, First I need to explain the system of the demon realm. The rules of the summoning ritual must be followed without exception. First, someone must sacrifice their soul to perform the summoning ritual. Second, the demon god who answers the call will have one wish granted. Third, the demon god receives the soul and the offering, then returns to the demon realm. This means once a wish is made, the demon god must fulfill it to return to the demon realm. And I'm stuck at the second step. Listening to his lengthy explanation, Earn could only nod helplessly. I see. So you just need to fulfill the wish that Earn wrote in the letter. Well then, good luck with that. I'm leaving. She was about to leave to avoid this trouble, but Yoon quickly grabbed her and pulled her back. Dear customer, where are you going? Take a closer look at my body. Don't you notice anything strange? Annoyed, but seeing no other choice, Earn asked what's strange. However, after scrutinizing the person before her for a moment, Earn realized what was unusual. With her insight and vast knowledge from her past life, she quickly identified the problem. Wait, for a demon god possessing godlike power, why can't I sense any energy from you? Yoon continued, a smile playing on his lips. You've realized it, haven't you? My lady, dear customer, in human terms, I am, in fact, bankrupt. Earn froze, asking in shock, where did you even learn human slang like that? Regardless, when the real Lady Earn, my sole source of livelihood, passed away, I was terrified. Before he could finish, Urquana interrupted, you tried to resurrect her. You nodded in confirmation. Yes, but Earn's soul did not return. Instead, you, Urquana, enter that body. In industry terms, this is called a double ledger. Fulfilling the wish and collecting the offering will be handled separately. Earn's wish, Urquana's soul. Yoon explained, perplexed, only to be met with the icy disdain of the villainous Urquana before him. I neither prayed nor performed any ritual. What does any of this have to do with me? Yoon slowly extended a hand, pointing towards the ground. Here, beneath this spot. Earn instinctively lowered her gaze. Yoon explained, if you fulfill her wish, then I can return. Earn explained frantically her wish. The real Earn's wish. You mean true love and being the perfect lady. Yoon immediately clapped his hands in excitement. Very clever, Urquana. Since I saved you, you must also help me. These words left the villainess occupying Earn's body stunned. Whether she wanted to be resurrected or not, she had been, and there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world, right? She silently stared at the system panel before her, displaying the quest text. Find true love. Fall in love with a man of immense influence, the most powerful man in the world, and specifically form a mark. Immense influence. Could it be the men mentioned in that foolish lady's letters? She wrote, She wanted to love the finest man in the world and have a beautiful love story. That's right. It must be the greatest man, the one with the highest status in the human world. Is there a problem, dear customer? Faced with Yoon's drastically different attitude, Earn's expression gradually twisted into something ugly. A problem. Oh, heavens, of course there is. The most powerful men in the empire are all people I know, and I have a dark history with every single one of them. Simply put, if I can't successfully seduce and date my past enemies, I'll die, and rebirth is impossible. And what's this mark the system mentioned? Seeing her muttering to herself, Yoon interjected at the right moment. You already know what the mark is, my dear customer. Seeing the villainous Urquana snort furiously and charge towards him. Let me check the health of your teeth. Want me to test your face with my fist? You scoundrel. According to Urquana's understanding, the mark was a bond of love formed between high-ranking demons. High-ranking demons possess an instinct to kill, so when they find love, they create a mark to avoid harming each other. Through it, they share each other's pain and emotions, forever watching over one another. If they lose the other, the remaining one will live in agony until death. Thus, the mark is actually considered the most perfect bond in this world. But ultimately, isn't it basically like a fatal French kiss? And he wants me to find someone to do this with. Sensing her thoughts, the demon god, Yoon remained stubbornly persuasive. Considering the unique nature of this quest, we have narrowed down the candidates to only the powerful men within the empire. Urquana, occupying Earn's body, sighed helplessly. So this is what you want me to do. Basically, you're asking me to die, right? Yoon smiled innocently. Oh my, you understand so quickly, dear customer. It's because some candidates harbor ill feelings towards you. But I have prepared something else for you. Such a difficult quest must come with a great reward, correct? I spent a great deal of time liaising with the demon world, and the result is, if you successfully complete this quest, we have decided to allow you to use the remaining free resurrection opportunity without taking your soul. You know resurrecting someone is quite difficult, don't you? Urquana narrowed her eyes, annoyed. And if I fail, you'll still take my soul, right? Yoon shrugged, laughing aloud. Dear customer, from our perspective, completing this quest isn't strictly necessary. He paused, fixing the girl before him with his demonic eyes. Especially for a soul of such exceptional quality as yours. Such souls are highly sought after in our demon realm. So if this quest fails, then that wonderful soul, your soul, will belong to me forever. Haha, so now it's the people of the Nymir Duchy who sacrificed Urquana, Lady Earn who made the wish, and them who caused all this trouble. Yet I'm the one bearing all the responsibility. Why am I, Urquana, caught up in this mess? Damn it, unchallenged him. Hey, Yoon, you said you lost all your power, right? Yoon scratched his head sheepishly. Yes. So, what do you think would happen if we fought? Earn's blood boiled. Even though this body is ridiculously weak, I think I could still take you down easily. Hearing this, Yoon chuckled. Even though this is just my first assignment in the human realm, aren't you underestimating me a bit? This might not end well for you. Who knows? Earn stared intently at the man opposite her. Yoon then scratched his head. Of course, I'd lose completely, dear customer. Don't joke like that. Unthought, is this guy an idiot? She pointed provocatively at Yoon's face. Hey, call me customer again if you want a beating. June esta mered y10. Then at least allow me to address you as your excellency. Now, let's quickly form the mark with the target and enjoy that free resurrection. Oh, this resurrection is a once-in-a-millennium opportunity. As soon as he finished speaking, Earn punched him squarely on the head, making him yelp in pain. As for Earn, she scratched her head in confusion. So how do I form the mark? Is there no way? She pondered for a moment. Then her eyes suddenly lit up. A notification appeared in the system. She wondered what it was. A blue arrow appeared on the notification board, and she reached out and pressed it. Suddenly, the screen flashed, startling her. Then the screen displayed a mark, a magical crystal. Yoon extended his arm towards the system's notification board, explaining weakly, this is the token for the mark. If the conditions for forming the mark with another person are met, this symbol will turn red. Look here. Yoon reached into the system screen. You just need to drag that token out. After speaking, Yoon smiled happily and continued. Once you take it out, just implant it into that person's body. Simple, right? Of course, you'll need that person's consent. Yoon continued pointing at the system screen. Also, you can contact me by pressing that icon. There are 3 tree icons with question marks here. Please use them carefully. Alright, I've explained the method and conditions. I'll be taking my leave now, Miss Urquana. Good luck. Before he could finish his sentence, Ern shouted, "Stop!" Yoon's feet froze abruptly, unable to move. Ern, holding a small knife, charged madly towards Yoon. She seemed to have lost her sanity, her control gone, the knife thrusting towards Yoon with powerful and resolute momentum. Yoon's eyes widened, glowing red, so terrified he nearly wet himself. He yelled, "Miss Ern, why the sudden attack? Please calm down." Just as he spoke, her knife stopped right before his chest. She asked sternly, "Are these all the conditions for completing the quest?" Ern had 2 genuine wishes, so there's only one condition. "You're not kidding me, right?" Yoon looked up at the sky, muttering, "You almost killed me." She examined the small knife in her hand, continuing, "And I'm really curious." Her eyes took on a dark shade, filled with terrifying cruelty. "What would happen if I killed a demon god?" Yoon leaned slightly towards her. Ern went on, "If that happened, maybe I wouldn't need to complete this quest, right? Doesn't sound too bad." Yoon replied, "Really?" Then he thought, such powerful wisdom, and one of the Supreme Masters too, what a fascinating soul. Suddenly, Yoon burst into laughter, a terrifying sound. He looked at her and said, "Your soul. It truly is exceptionally captivating." As soon as the words left her mouth, she swung a fist straight into his forehead, making him yelp. Wincing in pain, he clutched his head and mumbled, "Why did you hit me?" It's a demon's instinct to desire beautiful souls, and Mizern's soul truly was beautiful. She retorted, "Is that so? Well, my instinct is to beat up those who misbehave." Reeling from the blow, Yoon rubbed his aching head, saying, "Oh, I see. I'll have one more thing for you, just calm down." Unasked what thing. Then, with a silent snap of his fingers, he touched the system. Suddenly, the word reputation appeared on the interface, showing a value of -100/1000. Reputation. Huh, why does it look so low? Then Ern chuckled, "There's no way it's like that." Yoon looked at her, smiled brightly, and nodded, "That's right." Ern wished to become a perfect lady and fall in love with the finest man in this world. Ern interjected, "So to complete this quest, I need the social standing and reputation to match the men chosen as candidates. Right?" Yoon scratched his head, thinking, "I suppose you could say that." Then he thought, "I can't believe I revealed everything." With that, Yoon vanished as if he had never been there, leaving Ern standing blankly. Before disappearing, Yoon added, "There really are no other conditions, rest assured." "Well then, I'm off." A flicker of annoyance crossed Ern's eyes as she thought. "So, in the end, there's still a side quest to raise my reputation, isn't there? If I hadn't realized the conditions of this quest were strange, I might have already failed and died. In my previous life, I had to live like a slave, enduring all sorts of hardships and suffering. I cleared every dungeon and never lost a battle." Her thoughts momentarily tangled. She muttered to herself, "I never imagined a day would come when I'd have to undertake this kind of romance quest. This quest is truly bizarre and terrifying beyond anything I could have conceived." In the blink of an eye, the scene shifted outdoors, where an unusual stillness persisted. Eun sat alone in the garden, intently focused on writing something on the paper spread across the table. She thought, "I need to review this again. All the powerful men in the Empire, the candidates for the mark, are people I knew in my past life. Supreme Masters are those who have reached the 9th magic circle. A magic circle is a form of magical power that surrounds the host, enabling that person to become stronger. Swordsmen utilize the magic circle by converting it into a power called aura, while mages convert it into mana. Swordsmen who reach the 9th circle are also known as sword masters, and archmages are called magic masters. Of course, there are also magic swordsmen like me, proficient in both. Anyway, there are a total of 3 supreme masters in the Empire. Crown Prince Kiers Deloyd, the master of the Magic Tower Duke Hesselin, and the head of the trade guild Count Riesenlow. She wrote down the names of these 3 men on the paper one by one. Among the current candidates, only Count Riesen is the most suitable, because there's no particular animosity between Riesen and me, right? Just then, Mila brought a glass of water and slammed it onto the table with a thud, splashing droplets everywhere. Mila's expression turned exceptionally sour as she huffed. "It's tea time. What are you doing sitting here?" With one hand on her hip, she continued, "Hurry up and drink it so I can get back to my other tasks. Nobody has time to wait on you here." Ern seethed inwardly, but but still reminded herself to remain calm. The only reason I tolerated this insolent girl was to understand the situation around here, and now I've grasped the current state of affairs. Then, a faint smile touched Ern's lips as she thought, it's time to teach this savage little thing a lesson. Seeing Ern suddenly smile as if looking down on her right after she finished speaking, Mila asked, somewhat bewildered, what's with that expression? What do you mean by smiling like that? With that, Ern slowly walked towards Mila, softly murmuring Mila. As their eyes met, Mila's attitude instantly changed, and she stammered, What? What's with that look in your eyes? If you keep this up, what do you intend to do? Say that again. Ern retorted firmly. Each sharp word struck fear into the maid's soul. Suddenly, in the maid's eyes, the scene blurred, and a dreadful sensation enveloped her body. Her hands trembled violently, as if wanting to tear the dress she wore. Her lips quivered. Mila's mind went dark, filled with a terrifying sense of death. Mila thought, the young miss is just looking at me, but why do I feel such agony? That gaze is horrifying. Ern continued, you feel strange, don't you? With that, she pointed at Mila. The human body has many weaknesses. If I gently press certain pressure points with mana, Mila felt pain course through her body, an intense discomfort. Your internal organs, I could easily destroy them. Mila's mind was in turmoil. Mana. Since when could the young miss use mana? At that moment, Ern's eyes were red. She thought to herself, actually, this spell doesn't have enough mana to truly harm her body, just enough to frighten her a little. Incidentally, I can feel that earnest mana is more effective than expected. Though it was just a scare tactic, it was enough to make Mila collapse to her knees, clutching Ern's skirt and begging pitifully. Young miss, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Ern asked calmly, what did you say to me yesterday? The maid's eyes immediately widened with a trace of fear. Yesterday. With that, Mila recalled what happened the day before. At that time, Mila was combing the young miss's hair, saying, young miss, no one else will look after you but me. Know your place and be obedient. You don't want to be scolded by the head Saga again, do you? Right? Back in the present, Mila trembled, her words stuttering, looking utterly wretched as she sobbed. Back then, I must have been mad. Then Ern asked, your memory isn't too bad, is it? You, my only attendant, you know what you should do, right? Mila stammered, be a loyal servant. Yes, absolutely right. Be a truly loyal servant. Since you said you're the only one who will look after me, that means you are my servant. I will teach you about duty and loyalty that a servant should possess. Mila knelt on the floor. Began, Lesson 1. Reflect on the wrong things you have done. Mila stuttered, trying to suppress her fear, voicing the sin she had just thought of, talking back to the young Mississippi, speaking disrespectfully. I did those wrong things. Lowered her head slightly, a faint smile playing on her lips. You truly are. Foolish, so foolish. Mila thought, no, impossible. Until now, I've only followed the butler's orders, not the young missus. Did she somehow find out, even when her memory hasn't returned? Mila murmured, I apologize for only listening to the butler and not you. Young Mississippi Ern continued to press. Is that all you can recall? At this point, Mila's heart pounded louder than the village drums. Pressed on, then, what about the time you tried to steal the late master's belongings? Mila thought back then in the coffin. She heard everything I said. She claimed she had forgotten everything at the funeral. Continued, what if I accused you of theft? Did you not consider that? Mila looked at Ern, stammering, the prison where thieves are held is terrifying. If no one sends you food from the outside, you'll starve for many days. Don't imagine you'll eat full meals and sleep soundly like you do here. You'll have to live alongside cockroaches, ants, and rats every day. And if you encounter dreadful cellmates, getting beaten will be a daily occurrence. Mila, unsure what to say now, turned to ask her, how do you know all these things? How? Do you want to find out if what I'm saying is true? Would you like to experience it firsthand? Mila está merd in panic. No, Mila could no longer remain calm. She wept and sobbed, yes, my lady. My father passed away early, and I have an elderly mother and young siblings to support. So please, I beg you, give me one more chance, won't you? Ern chuckled softly in her mind. I don't want to hear any more of this unnecessary talk. Regardless of the circumstances, the fact that you did wrong remains unchanged. Mila could only kneel on the ground, begging for forgiveness. Then she asked, then what should I do? I will do whatever my lady commands. Earn replied, don't just say it, put into action. With that, Earn continued, stand up, hold out your hand here. Mila felt puzzled, not understanding why she was asked to extend her hand. Earn took out a sparkling piece of jewelry from her person and placed it in Mila's hand. She accepted it. The blue gemstone shone with exceptionally beautiful light. Speaking of the origin of this jewelry, it was when Earn felt unwell after Yoon disappeared into the basement. She felt extremely irritated. TSK, how annoying. Once this quest is over, whether it's the demon god or whatever, I'll deal with them all. Just as she was about to leave, Earn suddenly noticed something unusual. An aura of light was being emitted. She murmured, what's that? Then she walked over, picked up a box, and opened the lid, only to discover that this was the secret hiding place for the jewelry. How interesting. Anyway, this little thing is sufficient for now. Handing the valuable piece of jewelry to her, Earn said to Mila, I'm giving this to you. Mila questioned, to me, what's happening? Isn't this supposed to be punishment, not a reward? Isn't this strange? Unfortunately, this isn't a reward. Why would I reward you? To make you prettier or something. Mila was extremely worried at this point, unsure what this cunning lady intended to do to her. Earn said, if your behavior and attitude don't change, I will claim this hairpin was stolen. But if you change starting today, then it's a reward. Don't even think about selling it. If they investigate the sale of stolen goods, you'll be arrested immediately. Try to keep it safe, all right? Understood. At this moment, Mila thought to herself, unbelievable. How did the young lady suddenly become so different? Meanwhile, Earn continued, if you perform your duties well, I will consider training you to be the head maid and teach you how to write. I will unlock your potential. You also need money to buy food and medicine for your mother, right? Mila stammered at this point, confused by Earn's words, and whispered, could it be? Mila subconsciously looked at the young lady and voiced her question, who exactly are you? Earn asked back in surprise. Mila stammered, no, you seem very different. Looking at the young lady before her, Mila thought, that innocent face definitely belongs to Lady Earn, who just came of age, but from her tone, her gaze to her attitude, everything is incredibly strange, like she's a different person. Earn sighed and said, listen, I took medicine that made me lose consciousness. Experiencing death can change a person, you understand. As for why I can yell at you, I come from a knightly family. I received training since childhood. I'm just applying what I learned. Now that I've said this much, you should understand, okay? Yes, my lady. After saying this, Earn shouted loudly, then hurry up and clear away this dirty teacup and bring me a fresh one. Talking so much has made my throat sore. Yes, I understand, madam. With that, Mila ran off as if her backside was on fire. Earn watched thoughtfully in the direction Mila ran off. Suddenly, the system sounded an alert. Your maid admires you. Reputation increased by 10 points. Total, minus 90 points. Earn's eyes widened. What? What is this? This works too. But it only increased by 10 points. At this rate, when will I ever gain enough reputation? Will it increase when I conquer dungeons? Conquering dungeons is what I'm best at. Will the points increase if I do bad things? Anyway, this is also the demon god's quest, so infamy is also a type of fame. Thanks to doing something bad, it increased just a little, but instead, it decreased. How troublesome. Mila stepped forward and asked, does the young miss have any further instructions? Shall I massage your feet for you? She offered a cup of tea with both hands, replying, no, that's enough. Oh, right. Have you completed today's writing practice? After several days of training, the maid answered honestly, yes, young Mississippi. Thanks to you, I have learned how to write. Thank you, young Mississippi. Hearing this, Earn nodded with satisfaction and waved her hand. All right, I will call you when I need you. Yes, I understand. Mila withdrew, and the door closed behind her. Earn silently turned her vacant gaze towards the direction Mila had left. She lifted her hand, lightly tapping the paper on the desk, thinking to herself, the maid's instruction is mostly complete. Now I should consider choosing the top candidate among the prospects, Ryzen, to form the imprint. He is the most suitable person. I also need to find my bank account information. All right, then I'll go retrieve that first. It's been a long time since I last used it. That's my fan. Just in case, I deposited a spare fan in the secret vault of the Saiyan Bank in the Imperial capital, along with some money. I need to make a trip to the bank. Yes. Miss Mila came up carrying a plate of refreshments, saying, I bought some snacks at the market. Just as she placed the snacks on the table, Mila turned and asked Earn, are you planning to go out? I need to find something. The moment she finished speaking, Mila stopped her. Young miss, it would be best if you didn't go out right now. Earn looked puzzled upon hearing this. Mila continued, actually, it's the butler. The butler ordered me to watch you closely. Miss Owen slammed her hand on the table, saying, "Don't worry. I don't intend to go out during the day." Mila asked doubtfully, "But aren't the banks closed at night?" Ern hadn't planned on going out during the day anyway. She decided to slip out to the bank quietly under the cover of night. Night fell, the moonlight hanging coldly in the sky outside the window. Ern moved stealthily through the silent night, her heart filled with unease. I mentioned this afternoon that I was going out tonight, but now it's all ruined. If I had known he would show up, I absolutely wouldn't have come out tonight. That man is Crown Prince Kiers. How could it be that the very first time I go out, I immediately run into Crown Prince Kiers? Time rewound to the palace a few hours earlier. Crown Prince Kiers unconsciously toyed with Owen's fan in his hand. Chief Advisor Oren glanced at the fan, recognizing it with surprise as Ern's. He then thought, it's been half a year since the Miriam invasion war ended, yet there are still many lingering issues to handle. As a war hero and the Crown Prince, His Highness must feel a particular sense of responsibility. Ern, the weapon of the most wicked woman of the Miriam Duchy, just looking at the things she did, is enough to understand. Suddenly, from seemingly nowhere, Captain Revel of the Special Forces poked his head in, murmuring His Highness has just been sitting idly lately, constantly looking through documents about the Niram Duchy. Chief Advisor Oren, startled, cried out, "You scare me half to death. Make some noise when you walk." Captain Revel scratched his head with an embarrassed smile. "Ah, sorry, it's a habit from my old assassination days." Oren then continued, "Isn't it obvious that the Crown Prince detests that wicked woman, Ern? He must simply be recalling the deep-seated hatred for that duchy through her belongings." Crown Prince Kiers tapped the fan in his hand at that moment. He then spoke. "That person disappeared. How boring. Look at the blacklist. Who shall we execute tomorrow?" Oren replied, "Understood. Until recently, the empire had been controlled by the prime minister who exploited the old and frail emperor. Nobles flattered and bribed him. Commoners were robbed, and the powerless puppet king could do nothing to save them. Meanwhile, with the support of the nearby imperial duchy and under the prime minister's control, the corruption of the empire's nobility continued to spread across the border, where various illegal gambling, smuggling, and money laundering activities flourished rampantly. That place is the nearby imperial duchy. This is a list of nobles within the duchy involved in various crimes, starting with the prime minister. This book is the Crown Prince's blacklist. Back to Crown Prince Kiers. Crown Prince Kiers was the one who, immediately after conquering the nearby duchy, seized power and overthrew the prime minister. He began erasing every single person on the blacklist. Most people on the blacklist would die. The only difference was whether it was a public execution or a secret one. The Crown Prince picked up the blacklist, flipped through it, and then sighed, well, when there's nothing else to do, killing these people is the best pastime, isn't it? This attitude stunned both Chief Advisor Oren and Captain Revel, who thought, is he really going to kill people just because he's bored? Captain Revel said excitedly, "Of course, working when bored is the best way. Your Highness is truly a workaholic." Chief Advisor Oren's expression changed at this moment, and he turned to shout at Captain Revel, "Where did you learn such strange words?" Revel looked at him and replied, "Don't you find it amusing?" Suddenly, the sound of urgent footsteps echoed from outside, shaking the entire room. A soldier in a white robe pushed open the door and ran in, reporting frantically, "The people at Saiyan Bank have taken the bait. The nobles who established that place are gathering together." Hearing this, Crown Prince Kiers revealed a sinister smile. Excellent. The prey we've been waiting for has fallen into the trap. Let's go. This will be an interesting hunt amidst the boredom. Meanwhile, at Saiyan Bank, an uninformed person would think this was just an ordinary bank. However, the Saiyan Imperial Bank was the place nobles used to launder funds illegally obtained from the Niram Duchy. The scale of this bank was enormous. Funds from all the corrupt forces within the empire passed through here. And as a place managing illicit money, it was renowned for its stringent security measures. I am here to use the secret vault service that Saiyan Bank has always prided itself on. Un gently knocked on the door. The protective vault opened, and a shadow appeared, saying, "Please enter your secret vault password. If you enter it incorrectly once, the vault will immediately seal." Seeing this, Ern breathed a sigh of relief. Phew. The magical spirit guarding the vault is still here. Magical spirits only follow rules, so if I mistake the password, I'll never be able to open the vault. It's a complex password. I need to focus all my energy. After she entered the password, the screen turned completely red. A clicking sound came from the vault, followed by a sudden flash of bright light. A voice responded, "Esteemed customer, I shall guide you to the vault." Inside the vault, safe deposit boxes were arranged with perfect neatness. Ern walked to a row of boxes and pressed numbers on the panel. A mechanical whirring sounded, the door suddenly opened, and a fan emerged from the box. Ern exclaimed happily, "My fan is here." Yellow butterflies adorned the fan. Ern said joyfully, "My butterflies, they are still alive and well. These butterflies were personally created with my magic in my previous life. The butterflies moved like my own limbs, helping me greatly. I had thought that since my body had changed, the butterflies might not recognize me anymore." Un gently reached out to touch a butterfly. "Well done. You are very obedient. Who else could be your master but me, right?" Perhaps because it was the same soul, the butterflies still recognized me. Then she looked inside the box and saw a bag of money, but it looked quite light. She thought, "No way did they dare steal all my reward money. I went through so much hardship in my past life, and then they took everything I found in the dungeons, leaving me to die with nothing but an empty title and not even a place to live." Thinking this, she clenched the bag in her hand angrily, muttering, "That damned Niram Duchy, they even levied heavy taxes on me." Suddenly, the yellow butterflies still fluttering around, their bodies emitting a brilliant golden light that looked exceedingly beautiful, seemed to become unusually agitated and restless. Ern abruptly stopped, noticing something different about the butterfly's movements. "What's wrong? Did you hear something?" "Okay, I will translate the provided Chinese text into English, maintaining the original structure and adopting a novelistic style, using the context from the summary file." Having spoken, Ern lifted her head and then asked, "Is it coming from above?" "Magic soul, what's above this vault?" "Above this vault is the VIP room." "Ah, I see." Ern smiled faintly. If the sound is coming from the VIP room, then there might be useful information there. She commanded, "You lot haven't had work in a long time. Go investigate those sounds." At her word, the butterflies obediently flew towards the source of the sounds, relaying what they heard back to Ern, doing that sort of thing to the men of the Menina family. It wouldn't be strange if that foolish girl from that family caused trouble during this time. Even if she's treated that way, no one would suspect a thing. Hearing the conversation from above, Ern mused inwardly, Menina. That's the family of this body's original owner. So, if we shift all the blame onto that family, everything will be fine, right? Listening as they continued their discussion, she realized it was a conspiracy. Saiyan Bank was jointly established by the Empire's nobles who needed to launder money obtained illegally in the Niram Duchy, while the Niram Duchy wished to continue the cooperation so funds could keep flowing in. Key figures from the Niram Duchy were mobilized to construct the security barriers, and I, Urquana, was one of them. This means I know the structure of this building. Are these people planning to target the Medina family? This is the family I will belong to from now on, so I can't just let them off. Honestly, it seems I'll have to come out of retirement. A moment later, Ern quietly sought the direction from which the conversation originated. She gently pushed the door open, peered into the room, and scanned her surroundings. She thought the sound is close. I've come to the right place. The clinking of glasses echoed, followed by a cheer, a toast to the founders' meeting of our Saiyan Bank. A man, appearing to be the leader of this group, spoke. "Everything is proceeding smoothly. Crown Prince Kiers said he would forgive us." The woman in blue sitting opposite him stared and retorted, "Many nobles use this bank. Does he dare touch us? He's just a novice, after all." "Honestly," interjected a purple-haired man, "we haven't committed any major crimes, have we? Having a bit of fun in the Niram Duchy, who dares say anything? Even killing a few people there isn't a big deal. Think about it. We helped them get rid of the scum in the duchy that they hated so much. The Crown Prince should be thanking us right now." Chuckles, jokes, and jeers emanated from within. A silent step entered, and Ern recognized familiar faces among them. In the darkness, her hate-filled gaze became visible. I remember their faces clearly. In the past, these bastards organized a cruel contest. They released beasts and monsters into a huge hunting ground, and then threw people in to fight them. That was the death arena. She recalled being thrown into the hunting ground alone, trembling with fear back then. At the same time, she was the gladiator who had made a name for herself in that death arena. However, out of the hundreds, including herself, only a few survived. And these people, were the ones clapping and laughing heartily from the front rows of the VIP seats. They had earned enormous profits by colluding with the Niram Duchy, the organizers of that brutal game. Seeing these criminals walk free, truly infuriates me. She clenched her fists resentfully, thinking, did Kiers conquer the Nyram Duchy only to let scum like this remain unscathed? Is the crown prince compromising with corrupt nobles? The Nyram Duchy was a bunch of trash, but these imperial nobles are hardly any better. With furious eyes and clenched jaw, she contemplated how to deal with them. Among them, the idle chatter continued. Anyway, according to the crown prince, if one of us admits to being the organizer of that death arena, then the rest of the association members, the founders of Saiyan Bank, will be forgiven, right? If you put it that way, who would willingly step forward and admit to being the organizer of the Nyram Duchy's arena? As soon as the question was raised, the atmosphere turned heavy. Everyone seated around the banquet table fell utterly silent, like scattered grains of rice, none daring to speak, their eyes fixed solely on the plates before them. After a moment, the purple-haired man suddenly chuckled, scratching his cheek as he spoke. Just pin it on someone of low status or a poor relative. There's no need for us to rack our brains like this. How about we shift the blame onto the Medina family? Their eldest son, that young master, has been associating with us for some time now. Hearing this, Ern thought to herself, it seems that young master attended this meeting too. If this goes south, I could get dragged into this mess. The man swirled the gleaming wine glass in his hand. Ah, right? People were saying the foolish girl from that family did something strange again. Some sort of fake funeral. TSK, TSK, TSK. While the crown prince is trying to purge the nobility, that little girl is pulling off crazy stunts. Suddenly, a clicking sound came from the window while the voice inside continued its chatter. Anyway, if we push all the responsibility onto that family, no one will suspect a thing, right? Just then, something unexpected happened. The room's door was violently thrown open, and a great gust of wind, carrying the rustling sound of leaves, swept into the room. What followed was shocking and left everyone speechless. Footsteps echoed, mingling with the panicked voices of the nobles, thick with fear and alarm. Your Highness! Amidst their panic, the crown prince strode in, a mocking smile playing on his lips. What's wrong? Do continue. Who are you planning to sacrifice? The mere sight of the crown prince terrified every noble present. They scrambled to press their foreheads to the floor, stammering, "Our crown prince." Your Highness, why are you? Why are you here? We gathered here to carry out your orders. Yes, as your loyal subjects, it is our duty to alleviate your Highness's burdens. We are working diligently to identify the organizer of the arena. Hearing this, the crown prince replied, me worry about that. I haven't the faintest idea what you're discussing. With that said, Captain Revel stepped forward. Your Highness, did you hear the nonsense these people were spouting just now? They claimed that if they offered up a single scapegoat, you would pardon all their crimes. Did your Highness truly strike such an unreasonable bargain? Standing in a dark corner, watching the man in white who had just appeared, Ern thought silently. It's been a long time since I've seen that face. His name is Revel, wasn't it? Kiers has two loyal servants known as his hounds. One is the house dog, the strategic aide Orin, nicknamed Watchdog. The other is the ferocious wild dog, nicknamed Hunting Dog, the loyal confidant Revel. He's just as mad as Kiers. Bringing them both here. Are they planning to turn this place completely upside down? I must be careful not to get swept up in this. Your Highness. Hearing this, the girl in blue robes cried out, what you're saying today is completely different from what you said back then. Why? Suddenly, Orin turned and asked, you mean he was lying, don't you? With that, the crown prince cut in, his brow furrowing coldly. Enough. They gathered to carry out my orders. Isn't that a good thing? Perhaps they simply thought I wasn't mature enough to make sound decisions. The girl in blue heard the crown prince's words and thought in confusion. The crown prince's reaction doesn't seem so bad. Then she pressed on. So, you will grant us your generous forgiveness as promised, won't you? The crown prince sighed. However, forgiving all the wicked deeds you've committed in the duchy. That's rather difficult. His expression turned icy, revealing a savage smile. Then, a voice rang out, freezing the blood in everyone's veins, making hearts almost leap from chests. Kill them. The crown prince then turned away, adding simultaneously, see you in the next life. No sooner were the words spoken than Captain Revel's sword began its work. Agonized screams and desperate pleas sounded utterly wretched. Ern witnessed the scene in silence, thinking, this is horrifying. To be killed instantly just for uttering a single sentence. Thinking of this, Owen took a few gentle steps forward. Well, he certainly is that kind of person. How could he possibly compromise with those corrupt individuals? I absolutely cannot get involved this time. I must stay far away from this mess. With that thought, she turned and left. At the same time, the Crown Prince suddenly turned his head, not understanding what had happened. The voice of Chief Advisor Oren rang out. Your Highness, why must you go to such lengths? The Crown Prince quietly hushed him, having heard a sound coming from somewhere. Then, the Crown Prince whispered, it seems a rat has slipped in. Hearing this, Ern, standing behind the wall, felt a flicker of panic in her eyes. Crown Prince Kyre seemed to sense something, his gaze fixed intently on the wall before him. Crown Prince Kyre gently reached out towards the wall, saying, disguised as a wall, but actually a secret door. Behind the door, Ern was extremely worried. Perhaps she would be discovered and then executed. Thinking this, she exclaimed inwardly, oh heavens, what should I do? What should I do? Clutching the fan in her hand, she thought, there's no other way. I have to take the risk. These butterflies, they will surely recognize me. I'll run first and figure out later. Then, under her control, thousands upon thousands of golden butterflies danced into existence, filling the room. The sight left the Crown Prince utterly astonished. Because these butterflies, only one person in the entire world had ever used them. Butterflies radiating golden light. That was Aquatica. Why would these butterflies suddenly appear here? The Crown Prince dazedly reached out, wanting to gently touch one of the golden butterflies. Suddenly, the golden butterflies vanished as naturally as they had appeared. Before his eyes, there were no golden butterflies in his hand. Crown Prince Kyre exclaimed in surprise. Could I have been mistaken? Suddenly, a loud scream came from somewhere unknown. The Crown Prince turned, glancing towards the source of the sound. The leader of that group, holding a gleaming knife, charged madly towards the Crown Prince, shouting incessantly, die. Crown Prince. But facing imminent death, the Crown Prince remained terrifyingly calm. Watching the knife stab down, the Crown Prince merely smiled and asked, what is it now? As soon as the words left his mouth, a nimble evasive maneuver left the attacker utterly panicked. Damn trash. The Crown Prince spat, delivering a kick to the man's stomach that sent him flying hundreds of meters away. The man, pale-faced, screamed in agony on the ground. The Crown Prince walked over, stepped on his chest, and then spoke. It seems you have a lot to say. Speak. I'm quite eager to hear it now. Pinned down, the nobleman was in agony and helpless, muttering words of disbelief. I only killed a few bastards. Why? I'm a member of one of the Empire's 10 great families. The response was the Crown Prince's savage smile and icy voice. You think killing a mere few people means you don't deserve to die. Well, to me, you're just another bastard, so killing you means nothing either. Blood stained the room red. Outside, the moonlight remained as cold and clear as ever. The sound of Ern's hurried footsteps echoed as she quickly fled the scene of conflict. Beads of sweat rolled down her beautiful face as she panted, her eyes darting around rapidly, making sure no one had spotted her. Not until she found the carriage parked nearby did she finally let out a sigh of relief. My luck hasn't run out yet. At her urgent request, the coachman quickly drove away from the area. Things seemed to have spiraled out of control, but regardless, she had escaped safely without being discovered by the Crown Prince. If she had been caught on the spot back there, she likely would have been executed immediately. Moreover, those men had mentioned her current family. She would have to be much more careful in the future. And so, an eventful night drew to a close. The following morning, within the quiet solitude of his imperial palace, Crown Prince Kyre sat in silence, a thoughtful expression gracing his features, his gaze distant as countless thoughts swirled through his mind. I am certain those were her butterflies. For some reason, watching the Crown Prince's back at this moment, a strange emotion surfaced within him. Though she was a great swordswoman, an eccentric illusionist, always the center of attention, someone I truly desired and who challenged me. Years ago, deep within a dungeon, Crown Prince Kyre had spoken to that wicked woman, Urquana, saying, if your life is destined to wallow in filth, to plunge into the abyss. You'd best let it belong to me, or Kwana. But faced with these words, the wicked woman had replied with a scornful tone and playful jest, "Then why don't you become my subordinate? A handsome crown prince like you would be the most dazzling jewel in this pile of refuse." The crown prince pondered for a moment, then added, "Let's make a wager then. If I succeed in making you kneel before me, you shall belong to me." Urquana shrugged, asking coolly, "And what will you give me if I win?" Hearing this, the crown prince suddenly drew closer, contemplating, then gently reached out, touching the fiery red strands of the girl before him, saying, "I wish to obtain you as well, or rather, your life." The response was beyond her expectations, yet she showed little emotion, merely nodding, "Very well, that sounds intriguing. In the end, whoever wins shall gain everything the other possesses. Is that understood, my beautiful prince?" During that conversation, Crown Prince Kyre realized that this wicked Urquana before him was more than just her indifferent exterior. She possessed a talent for teasing everyone, and she did not keep her promise. During the decisive battle, Crown Prince Kyre stood like a soulless puppet, silently facing the blazing battlefield before him. "Your life belongs to me." But she had gone to a place from which there was no return. Perhaps I should not have trusted her promise. Unconsciously, Crown Prince Kyre remained lost in his memories, muttering to himself. Hearing this, his chief advisor Orin, standing nearby, casually inquired, "Were you speaking to me, your highness?" Startled, the crown prince sighed and shook his head. "It's nothing. Besides, didn't you say you had matters to report?" At the mention of state affairs, Orin adopted a serious tone, explaining, "Ah, yes, your highness. Do you recall the Medina family? If it's the Medina family, the one that cultivates outstanding knights and crafts high-quality swords, it seems the head of the Medina family has been attempting to approach the prime minister. Although he's not on the blacklist, he is a potential candidate. Is there anything else?" The crown prince inquired. Orin nodded slightly, then continued, "It appears the prime minister did not indulge him. In fact, the greater issue isn't the family head, but his granddaughter, the Medina family's granddaughter." Hearing this, the crown prince seemed perplexed, failing to grasp how a woman could be relevant to the matter. "Your highness, are you unaware of the widely circulated rumor?" "What?" "The rumor that she's an exceptional swordswoman or something, based on the family's history of producing fine knights." Just as the chief advisor was about to elaborate, Captain Revel appeared from behind, startling him with a sudden shout. "No!" Orin clutched his chest indignantly, scolding, "Captain Revel, you scared me to death." Captain Revel could only scratch his head sheepishly. "Ah, I must have dozed off there. What kind of attitude is that?" "Oh, sir, my apologies." Observing the two, the crown prince sighed helplessly. "Never mind. Continue." "Sir, do you remember the young lady who fell into the champagne tower? She was looking towards your highness at the time." Through the advisor's words, memories of that seemingly forgotten night surfaced in the crown prince's mind. "Ah, that young girl. Isn't she just that fool from the capital?" Orin nodded in confirmation. "Indeed. But recently, she's stirred up some trouble." "Trouble? What exactly happened? And what does it have to do with her family's mysterious legacy?" "Your highness, it said she staged her own fake funeral, leading everyone to believe she was dead." Hearing this tale, the knight rebel standing nearby exclaimed excitedly, "Oh, that young lady is quite the genius, isn't she? We should interview the priest who conducted the funeral first." "Ha!" His utterly inappropriate attitude infuriated the chief advisor. "Please, I implore you, hold your tongue. Your highness, what's important is, we've received intelligence that this young lady recently purchased smuggled goods related to devil worship." "What?" The crown prince's expression immediately turned grim, filled with astonishment. His highness reacted so strongly because the empire worships the true God and rejects devils. Orin stated wearily that the information he received indicated she had acquired a very rare antique dagger. "We discovered it in the ledgers of smugglers we recently apprehended." The crown prince's eyes filled with an icy chill, his voice laced with a hint of fury. "While everyone is still chaotically dealing with the aftermath of the war, she dares to commit such a grave crime at a time like this. Then she must be punished. I will handle that fool myself." Chief Advisor Orin Aston asked, bewildered, "Your highness intends to handle it personally?" He then received a firm nod from the crown prince. this. If someone commits a felony during a time of chaos, they must be made an example of. Moreover, this is a smuggling case. We can use this opportunity to catch some scum from the Niram Kingdom as well. Any smuggling activity within the Empire is always connected to the Niram Kingdom. Hearing this, the chief advisor couldn't help but tremble in fear, thinking an interrogation of a royal relative is enough to make anyone cry for their mother. May she rest in peace. Meanwhile, back in her old residence, Urquana, possessing Miss Ern, shrieked in panic, my money. When can I go back and get it? Hearing the young lady's cry, the maid's voice rang out with concern, Mississippi. What's wrong? Why are you awake? You should rest more. Did something urgent happen? Miss Ern, sitting up in bed, explained it was due to feeling unwell. But in reality, she was panicking because she couldn't get the money from the safe. So she had to go open another one. She needed to head to the Information Guild immediately. But just as she sat up from the bed, she felt a wave of dizziness. Oh heavens, is it because I ran too much yesterday? Is my body this weak? Seeing her lady sway and nearly fall, the maid rushed forward to support her. Oh, Mississippi, where are you going when you're unwell? If the master finds out, you'll be in big trouble. Besides, the maids are all saying the master of the estate will be returning soon. Ern, forcing her weary body, walked to the dressing table. I really have something urgent to do. When she saw an old dagger in the drawer, the maid curiously asked what the knife was for. Mississippi, after a moment of silence, holding the dagger, Miss Ern asked a distant question. Milla, have you ever heard of it? About the supreme truth, the King of Swords. Blank for a moment, the maid slowly replied, it's hard to believe that's real. The knife in Miss's hand isn't even sharp. It looks like a fake sword. Miss Ern chuckled, gazing at the dagger in her hand. If you knew about this dagger, you might faint, Milla. A dagger that even succeeded in summoning a true demon god. Those cultists even offered living sacrifices. Hearing this, the maid's expression turned fearful and worried. Then, if this knife is discovered by someone else, Ern calmly finished the maid's sentence. If anyone is found possessing this knife, that person could be executed immediately. The maid cried out in worry, why do you have this? Please dispose of it right now. Without needing the maid's reminder, Miss Own herself wanted to destroy the knife immediately. She could just throw it into the river right away. However, the sight of the demon summoning ritual in the basement must still hold a significant amount of magical energy. The residual malevolent energy lingering in the space is difficult to dispel, though ordinary people might not sense it. To eliminate that energy, a substance known as mage grass is required. The problem is this mage grass is an exceedingly rare item. Naturally, given it's a plant capable of nullifying magic. It seems we can only acquire it through the Intelligence Guild. We must contact the guild today. We really need to get our hands on that grass as soon as possible. It appears Kyre is relentlessly interrogating those associated with the Prime Minister. Until facing defeat, the Prime Minister continued to plunder the people and indulge the nobility. And the energy permeating this house will surely become grounds for the Crown Prince's intervention. If that happens, the Medina family will be annihilated because of it. At this thought, Ern closed her eyes wearily. She had no intention of seeking refuge under another identity. As long as the Medina family avoided destruction, there would be no obstacle to the mission she was undertaking. All she needed to do was swiftly eliminate anything that could expose her. Soon, night fell once more. Ern and her maid, clad in dark cloaks, emerged cautiously into the night. The maid followed closely behind her mistress, unable to hide her mix of excitement and fear. She followed out of concern for her lady, but what on earth was her mistress thinking? Still, doing something was better than facing execution. But seeing the maid so flustered, Ern had to stop and ask her, wondering aloud where the courage she had when trying to steal from her at the funeral had gone. Now walk properly. The maid thought resignedly, I just crawled out a hole. What's there to be proper about? Let's go together, milady. A short while later, they arrived at a barbecue bar. Drunken barbecue. The maid stared blankly at the building before them, wondering what was wrong with this establishment. Just then, Miss Ern turned her head to look at the maid and said, I'm not feeling well today, so I need you to atone for me. Do you understand what I mean? Of course, milady. Please trust me. That sounds quite reliable. The moment they stepped inside, they were greeted by the staff. Welcome back, Mississippi. Ern walked forward coolly and slapped her hand on the counter. Bartender, one flaming cocktail, shaken, not stirred. A moment later, the cocktail she requested was prepared, and the staff member said politely, I will escort you to a private room. Ern smiled with satisfaction. Drunken Barbecue. This oddly named bar was actually a secret branch of the Intelligence Guild. The Guild. Moments later, in a private room, Earn calmly confirmed the information. Account 325181585 to 153. The staff member checked it against a record sheet and nodded. Confirmed. I will ask one more question to verify your identity. First question. What was the name of your first love? Earn shook her head wearily. I've never been asked such a question. Just hearing the word makes my teeth chatter. To be precise, what is your type in man? To this question, Earn immediately replied, a man who becomes even more handsome at 30. A moment later, after all questions were answered, the staff member said softly, all answers are correct. However, as you are a special VIP, additional verification is required. Earn immediately produced her feathered fan adorned with a golden butterfly. This is it, right? Seeing the item, the maid understood nothing, but the staff member was taken aback. He quickly regained his composure, a strange smile playing on his lips. Verification complete. What do you require today? Is the deposit I left here still safe? Miss Owen smiled charmingly. Yes, it is safe and sound. Hearing their exchange, the maid was completely bewildered. What on earth was going on? Meanwhile, Earn proceeded to state her request to the staff member, then use that deposit to purchase what I need. Firstly, 5 stalks of mage grass and intelligence, and the whereabouts of the patriarch, Ryzen Liao. With these requests, she could temporarily satisfy the current needs of that wicked woman, Urquana. I will stay safely away from those lunatics, she told herself. Furthermore, I'll even accomplish those insane tasks. But upon hearing her demands, the attendant looked embarrassed, stating that is a prohibited item, so I cannot provide it to you immediately. Earn, emanating a chillingly fearsome aura, stressed again, I need it right now. Do you require more money? Sweat beaded on the attendant's face once more as he replied, money is not the issue. Then what is? Dear customer. Sensing the atmosphere growing unprecedentedly heavy, the maid recalled her mistress's earlier instructions with concern. Milady, are you planning to use the method you mentioned on the way here? Her mistress had instructed, remember what happens today, for it will be useful to you in the future. Today, I shall teach you negotiation. When you desire something without needing to compromise, simply repeat these words. For dollars. It's difficult to provide the mage grass immediately, and as for Ryzen Liao, he is not among the options. Amidst the attendant's explanation, the young lady incessantly repeated the phrase, for dollars. The attendant grew flustered and helpless. It's not that I don't want to find the information, it's that I cannot find it. Then, I will at least give you the mage grass today, but understand the information. For dollars. For dollars. Respected customer, honestly, are you even listening to what I'm saying? Oh, the male attendant looked furious enough to explode. Finally, his face etched with utter resignation. He slumped into his chair. I give up. Hearing this, Earn revealed a delighted, beautiful smile. It's about time. I didn't need to say anything more. Meanwhile, the maid standing beside her gazed at her mistress with shining eyes, thinking, the one we thought was a mad woman until just now, actually nicknamed the half-baked Mississippi. She appears remarkably composed. A short while later, having obtained what they wanted and left, the maid following behind couldn't help but ask curiously, Milady, how did you come and know of such a place? Hearing this, Earn offered a prepared explanation. You know how I've just been wandering around looking for fun lately, right? I went in and out of some suspicious shops, and look, it seems everything here worked out somehow, so I just wandered about. Suddenly, amidst their pleasant chat, the mistress stopped short with a startled expression, alarming the maid. Madam, what's wrong? Earn's expression turned somewhat worried, her jaw even clenching. Milady, the maid approached worriedly, and then, unexpectedly, Earn's grim expression shifted as she called out the maid's name. Milla, starting now, run in the opposite direction from me. Go down to the basement in my room. Do you remember the method I told you? You must burn the maid's grass exactly as I instructed. Run quickly afterwards. As soon as Earn finished speaking, the maid immediately dashed off in the opposite direction, while Miss Earn continued running forward. From her appearance, she seemed filled with worry, but unexpectedly, ahead lay a dead end. She was trapped. Simultaneously, Earn sensed a strange energy around her, her expression growing even more serious. Dark energy. Then, the inevitable happened. Someone she seemed to recognize emerged from the shadows. Nakfe Medina. He called her name, his expression glacial. She had narrowly escaped last time, but now she had to face this man directly. Damn it, we finally meet. With this thought, she spoke calmly. Who are you to arrest me without a word? The crown prince stepped forward and seized her hand. I am the one arresting you. Saying this, he tightly bound her hands with a red cord. Slipping into performance mode, Ern put on an indignant expression and demanded loudly, there are all sorts of lunatics here. Excuse me, but do you have any proof? In response, the crown prince stated coldly, we just received intelligence that an antique dagger was smuggled. That intelligence alone is sufficient grounds for action. I shall exercise my right to remain silent. He cited her attitude, a cold smirk playing on his lips. You are aware that demon worshippers can be executed on the spot, aren't you? The moment anything emerges from your mansion, your life is mine to take. The man standing before her was none other than Crown Prince Kiers. Though he held a position revered by all, over the long years, as he acted in place of the aging and ailing emperor, Kiers had been driven from the palace and raised amidst suffering, enduring all manner of hardships. Consequently, Kiers harbored immense animosity towards the prime minister and certain imperial nobles who followed him, becoming exceptionally vicious in any matter concerning them. In other words, he wouldn't spare even someone like me. Standing before her, the crown prince repeated coldly, come with me now. If you comply quietly, there will be no trouble. Hearing this, Ern observed him silently, then followed quietly behind him, the rope still binding her. However, her gaze constantly scanned her surroundings, and she realized something. There were no subordinates waiting nearby. In that case, the situation changes. A triumphant smirk touched Ern's lips as she stopped and said, wait a moment. No matter how I think about it, it's strange. Why should I be dragged away without conclusive evidence? At her words, the crown prince replied coolly, it seems you don't understand. Delaying here is pointless. Immediate arrest and execution are permitted, and if we search your villa, the evidence will surface immediately. So what's the problem? What is it? I'm busy. Hurry up. Her expression turned irate and icy. Constantly ordering me around. How utterly annoying. This attitude also perplexed the crown prince. What did you just say? Ern, her face contorted in anger, pressed on, I already know who you are. A con artist, right? I've heard all about it. Scammers claiming you violated the court's special laws by worshipping demons, demanding fines to swindle people. You look perfectly fine. Why live like this? Have you no shame? Her sudden, nonsensical tirade startled the crown prince. Taking me for a con artist. How amusing, he thought with a private chuckle. He then immediately drew his sword and, with a swift slash, severed the rope connecting them. However, the supposedly delicate young lady remained remarkably calm under the circumstances. She pointed at the crown prince's face and scolded, what are you? A thug? How dare you swing a sword at someone like that? Yet the crown prince asked an unrelated question. You untied the rope in that brief instant. What are you? Facing him, Ern muttered coldly, the real idiot is you. If you want to scam people, you need more practice. Swinging a sword like that could only cut the rope. With swordsmanship like yours, you couldn't even catch a 3-year-old. Each of her provocations made the crown prince's hands tremble with rage. He attacked again with a cold swing of his sword, startling the young lady. I won't kill you. I'll strike you down and make you reflect. Facing the attacker, Ern showed a panicked expression and cried out, why are you doing this? Are you taking out your frustration on me because you were caught in the act of swindling? Hearing her words, Crown Prince Kiers suddenly felt a strange sensation that made him pause. What is this? Sense of déjà vu. In his eyes, the figure of the girl before him seemed to overlap with that of an old acquaintance from the past. The Crown Prince's heart was no longer calm, while Ern, oblivious to his disturbance, tried to slip away. Suddenly, her hand was seized tightly by him, accompanied by a barrage of questions. Who exactly are you? Your movements are quite familiar and agile. Would an ordinary noble lady move like this? A flicker of worry crossed Ern's mind, but outwardly, she feigned confusion. What are you talking about? But, usually, people exhibit superhuman strength just before they die. With that, she aimed a sharp kick with the tip of her high heel straight at the man before her. However, he seemed to have anticipated it. He immediately shoved her aside, causing her kick to miss its mark and throwing her off balance. The Crown Prince pinned the beautiful girl against the nearby wall. The posture was compromising. Like a bolt from the blue, it sent Miss Owen into a state of extreme panic. The Crown Prince pressed on, don't evade. Give me a straight answer. This attitude deeply worried Miss Ern, who thought, has he figured something out? Regardless, I can't let him hold me up any longer. At that moment, she swiftly drew out her butterfly fan. A flash of light erupted, pushing the crown prince away. Seizing the opportunity, Ern leaped nimbly onto the wall, laughing as she replied, "Ahaha, apologies, but I don't care for stubborn men like you." "Fine." But immediately noticing the crown prince giving chase, Ern fled instantly. By the time His Highness climbed onto the wall, the girl was long gone. Letting a weak woman escape seemed to be a small blow to the crown prince. She just slipped away right before my eyes. My vision blurred for a moment. I couldn't clearly see what she brandished. But just then, the chief advisor ran up anxiously, asking with concern, "Your Highness, how could you suddenly disappear after ordering the carriage to stop? Everyone is in chaos looking for you." The chief advisor was met with the crown prince's icy and fierce gaze as he said, "I happened upon some prey." "Prey? Ah, that local fool." Hearing this, the chief advisor thought, is he talking about that foolish woman? A noble lady wandering outside at this hour. "What? My lord, I didn't expect you to remember someone. Surely you don't remember her, having already killed her. If so, we will handle the aftermath." The crown prince shook his head and continued, "I'm not certain. Send men to investigate and interrogate the Medina villa. As soon as you find evidence that the suspect worships a demon god, arrest her officially. Even if it's Dawn, it doesn't matter. Execute this immediately, right now." The chief advisor acknowledged the order. "Yes, understood." He then heard the crown prince's furious voice again. "That fool. She must be captured and brought before me. I want to see her before me, unharmed, because I intend to interrogate her thoroughly." Meanwhile, at this very hour, Ern found herself in another predicament. "Ah, hello there." The delicate girl waved at the person sitting opposite her in a small boat, drifting leisurely on the river. Upon seeing her, the man revealed an almost imperceptible smile. What a mess. Everything has become so chaotic. Ern wearily recalled the events that had just transpired. I tried to escape by jumping, but honestly, the thought of swimming in this coat and skirt overwhelmed me. She had braced herself to enter the water in her flowing skirt. Oh, and then everything took a different turn. Instead of water, there was a boat that happened to be passing by, and a pair of outstretched hands, accompanied by a gentle voice. "I will hide you." Someone lifted me up, even tried to hide me. I had thought today's abduction was meticulously planned. I thought today was an unlucky day, but it turned out to be a very good day indeed. Just then, the man sitting opposite her broke the awkward silence. "Lift your head. It seems you are being pursued by His Highness the Crown Prince. His Highness is a young beast who holds the fate of the Empire. He will soon become a fearsome predator who gives his enemies no quarter. I don't know what happened, but if things don't go according to plan, it could be very bad." Young Lady Ern smiled shyly, a thought suddenly popping in her mind. Perhaps this was his first time meeting Ern, yet he spoke so intimately. "Are you injured anywhere?" The man's question stunned her. Her hesitant demeanor seemed to confuse the person opposite her as well. Meanwhile, the young lady was trying hard to compose herself. "Lift your head, Ern, no matter what. We must proceed naturally." "I'm not sure what you're talking about." Finally, she decided to play dumb. Maybe I should feign ignorance for now. "You mentioned His Highness the Crown Prince chasing me. He's nothing but a good-looking swindler." Hearing this, the man looked surprised. "Oh, unbelievable. You don't even recognize the Crown Prince's face." He's quite handsome, isn't he?" Ern thought to herself. "Ha!" The man opposite suddenly burst into laughter, tears welling up in his eyes. "All right, that description suits you better. You're still as peculiar as ever." Ern caught the key point in his words, thinking silently. Still as peculiar as ever. I guess this is something he would never have said to the original me in the past. It seems he and Ern, the true owner of this body, knew each other. This is a development I never anticipated. But how did Count Reeson and this foolish girl know each other? "It's been a long time. Let's have some tea." At the Count's suggestion, Ern could only nod. "Ah, thank you." The warmth of the teacup in her hand dispelled the night's chill. "Where are we going?" Her question drifted away on the night breeze. The handsome Count before her suddenly chuckled. "Are you afraid I'm kidnapping you? It's time for the child to go home. We're heading to your house." "Child?" Ern was taken aback, recalling what that strange fellow in the basement had said last time. "Do you know Count Reeson? This child needs to form a bond now. If you don't, you will die right now." Indeed, the two of them had met, but under very strange circumstances. The Count began to talk about what just happened. "At first, I thought someone had recklessly jumped off the bridge. And then not long ago, you organized a fake funeral. When will you ever become a good child?" "That depends on who I meet," Ern replied mysteriously. My situation is a bit complicated. You changed a little. He paused for a moment before offering this assessment. What was I like before? Ern's eyes shifted slightly as she asked. How did Ern and Reason know each other? She had to figure this out. Faced with her question, the Count grew contemplative. I met you a few years ago. You were always frightened, but suddenly... He paused, placing his teacup on the table. However, is your past, seen through my eyes, really that important? This attitude surprised Ern. She quickly gathered her thoughts before answering shyly. Usually, a person's character can change. I was wondering if I made any mistakes in the past. But what awaited her was another question from the man before her. How is your father? So Count Reason knew Ern's father. Last time, Mila mentioned that Ern had lost contact with her dad, right? With this thought, Ern answered cautiously. Unfortunately, I haven't been in touch with my father recently. Perhaps I'm in the same situation as you. I suppose so. Her eyes remained fixed on the man before her, hoping to find more clues, or at least not reveal her soul. But why were you passing by here tonight? The moonlight was beautiful, so I came out for a stroll. I didn't expect to happen upon and rescue someone unexpected. It's truly fortunate you could come out. Hearing this, Ernest suddenly chuckled. If you had caught me, it must have been fate. Well then, shall we meet occasionally for tea, share our thoughts, and lament together? The Count let out a soft sigh and smiled. How amusing. But if you were to have tea with me, you would surely be misunderstood. You know, the people of the Empire are quite conservative. Erna fell silent for a moment, then asked with a mysterious air, why is that? Is it because you are unmarried, or because you harbor concerns for me? Suddenly, the Count's gentle hand reached towards a girl. Do you wish to hear? Yes, I do. Erna offered a captivating smile, placing her hand upon his. He drew closer, his gaze deep, and said, not today. Ugh, his attitude made Erna inwardly fume. What an unappreciative fellow. It would be best to be a good child who doesn't sneak out at night from now on. The Count stepped back, continuing his instruction. Being treated like a child made Erna's ears flush red. Thank you for your help today. Good night. Erna then turned and walked away. Watching her retreating figure, the Count spoke again. Hey, you are well aware that what happened to your sister was not your fault, right? The words startled Erna. Let's meet again when dawn breaks. Go quickly now. She looked back in alarm. Did he just say sister? Or perhaps he meant Erna's uncle had children, so it was about cousins. I'll confirm it later. For now, hurry home. At this moment, inside the mansion, a maid was in the basement, fiddling with the magic herbs she had just obtained. She quietly lit the herbs with a match in her hand. What on earth is this? In the midst of her actions, she couldn't help but recall the young lady's earlier instructions. Mila, I'll speak quickly, so listen carefully. Run to the basement as fast as you can and burn these herbs in the four corners of the room. But there's one thing you must be careful about. Magic herbs are mysterious things that corrode quickly upon contact with water. The reality was, the maid was holding a bowl full of water, trembling incessantly. My lady, you said not to let it touch water, but if a fire breaks out, shouldn't we fetch water? If the annex catches fire, it will be a disaster. Her face turned pale with fear as she thought, did it touch water just now? I spilled a little earlier. Just then, she heard a commotion from upstairs and jumped in fright. Please escort us to Miss Erna Medina's room. A sudden inspection. The butler, flustered, greeted the men from the kingdom with a fearful tone. Ahaha, why would investigators be here? Oh dear, has the young lady caused trouble again? We received intelligence that Miss Erna is smuggling items related to devil worship. We need to investigate, so please lead us to the young lady's room. She's in a separate building, but is she really worshiping a devil god? If the accusation is proven true, everyone in the Medina family will be interrogated. Ugh, everyone in the family could be arrested. This is an order from the prince. Miss Erna, who had been observing from nearby, let out a quiet sigh. It seems the investigators have finally arrived. Why didn't he mention the butler was a separate job? The heresy investigators are members of the Kira's family, affiliated with the Empire's Special Forces. They are a group devoutly worshipping God, capable even of detecting the faintest traces of magic hidden in crevices. Will we be caught before completing the mission? This is no time to dwell on that. I should hurry back to my room. As soon as she stepped inside, she frantically looked for the maid, Mila. Where are you, Mila? Why are you crying? Did you fail to complete the task I gave you? Seeing her grow concerned, she sobbed. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. In the name of unwavering faith in God, those damned investigators will discover the magic in the basement. Even the cures won't spare me. and the only options left are to die here or be tortured and burned alive. This sudden emergency left Ern momentarily unsure how to react. Meanwhile, the investigators' angry voices echoed again. "We're going to conduct a search. Please cooperate with the investigation." They were here. Ern quickly regained her composure, reached out to take off her outer robe, and reminded, "Don't just stand there foolishly, Mila. Quickly take off your clothes." "Ah, I understand." The maid, Mila, hurriedly took the robe her lady had just removed and placed it in the wardrobe, while Lady Ern, clad only in her nightgown, dashed towards her bed. She pulled the blanket up over her body, comforting herself. "It's all right. I can handle this. If they catch me, I'll just say I didn't know." Just then, the investigators reached the door of the room. "I will now begin searching the room." The maid appeared and stood before them, asking, "Wait, what exactly are you looking for?" The butler rushed forward to stop the maid, addressing the investigators. "Quiet, Mila. Even if the young lady truly worships demon gods, she would do so secretly in the outbuilding alone. Everyone knows this young lady is a bit." Meanwhile, Ern secretly listened to the old butler's conversation. When she asked Mila why she cared so much about the butler, she replied angrily, "He's a scoundrel. He wouldn't be bothered no matter what they did in the villa. I'm sure he's one of the people he's supposed to serve. He doesn't even show his face, let alone greet me. If it were him, he would have handed over the keys to the outbuilding immediately." That's why the investigators reached Ern's room so quickly. So fast. "I absolutely should have handled this myself. Move aside." Faced with the investigator's very loud voice, the maid retorted worriedly, "Then at least give her some time to get dressed." As the tension reached its peak, Ern sat up in bed and asked in an icy tone, "Mila, who are those lunatics?" The man leading the investigation team answered with a smile, "It's an honor to finally meet the lady I've only heard about in rumors." "Excuse me." Seeing his face, Ern seethed inwardly. They actually sent Rebel, the Crown Prince's right-hand man, as an investigator. If I don't stay vigilant, I'll be exposed and die instantly. However, Ern's gaze grew distant. "There's something you've overlooked." With this thought, she put on an expression of innocent confusion and looked at the young man opposite her. "Who are you?" Rebel chuckled. "Oh, you want to know my name? Even if I told you, you probably wouldn't know who I am." Ern retorted with a smile. "Then you at least need to state the unit you belong to. It's quite rude to barge in like this without introducing yourself." "I am Rebel Ellen, and I lead the Special Forces Cure Zone under His Highness the Crown Prince." He had just bowed his head, then looked up to see the girl before him extending her hand. Lady Ern said coolly, "For someone of your standing, you lack a bit of courtesy. Shouldn't you bow when meeting a lady?" Helplessly, Rebel had no choice but to perform a hand-kissing bow. Judging by his expression, he seemed rather reluctant and somewhat embarrassed. It's amusing to see him flustered like that, Ern thought, then asked, "So, what brings you here at this late hour?" Rebel, having regained his composure, replied, "A month ago, you purchased a very valuable dagger, correct? You also loudly proclaimed you would use it to make a wish to the demon gods." Erna immediately retorted in panic, "That's absurd. Who is framing me with such nonsense?" She heard the young man's warning voice again. "Young miss, committing a crime is easier than you think. Even making a sweet wish like, 'Please let me be with the one I love,' is a serious offense." "I don't understand what you're talking about," Erna continuously denied with her innocent facade. Of course, Rebel didn't believe her. "You'll understand what I mean soon enough." At his command, the soldiers following him immediately dispersed around the room to conduct a search. Oh, no, wait. Even as Erna tried to stop them, they moved with resolute determination. She shouted angrily, "Wait a moment." Then Erna stepped in front of them, removed the outer coat she was wearing, revealing her body faintly visible beneath the thin nightgown. The members of the investigation team immediately turned their faces away in embarrassment. "Young miss, what is the meaning of this?" Seeing their flustered faces, Erna inwardly smirked. She did this because she knew the investigator's weakness. These elite soldiers were entirely composed of unmarried young men and women. They followed God's will more faithfully than anyone. Influenced by faith and a sense of duty, they prioritized bodily purity above all else in any situation. Here, they found themselves alone with an undressed member of the opposite sex. Erna smiled and threatened them. "If you take one more step forward, I'll take off this nightgown too." This. Her words made Rebel both angry and amused. "What do you mean by doing this?" Erna shrugged coldly. "What do I mean? Naturally, I want to prove my innocence. So what if the accusations you're forcing upon me are false? Rebel answered honestly, then you are innocent. But Erna's next question left him completely stunned. Then who will compensate me for the embarrassing situation I've been put in? A group of men barged into my room at dawn. If rumors spread, won't you be responsible? Don't you know my reputation? Everyone in the Empire laughs at me for being a fool. Hearing every sharp word she uttered, Rebel didn't know what to say. Wait, calm down, young Mississippi. If you hadn't smuggled items of demon god worship in the first place, we wouldn't be here, right? Realizing these men were still incredibly stubborn, Erna coldly posed a shocking question. So His Highness the Crown Prince framed me. Does he desire me because of my beauty? This sentence struck Rebel like a bolt of lightning. Oh, my heavens, she actually thought of that so directly. Naturally, Erna became even more carried away, glaring as she accused the men. This could be slander. Why did you barge in like this? Has she truly gone mad? The butler standing beside her was also rendered speechless by the young Mrs. Strange thoughts. Her furious voice sent a shiver down everyone's spine. I warn you, if you arrest me, I will scream all the way while being dragged off. The investigation team had never encountered such a difficult target. Thinking helplessly, is she a demon? It wasn't over yet. Erna took a deep breath and shouted into the night. Ah, His Highness the Crown Prince harbors ill intentions towards me, drawn by my beauty. People of the Empire, look at this. Every move, every word the girl before them left, even someone as experienced as Rebel utterly helpless. Looking into those terrifying eyes, he could sense the madness and desperation. Rebel turned around, took a step back, darkness now cloaking his grim face. But Erna still didn't stop, continuing her accusations, forcing Rebel to interrupt her helplessly. Hey, at least pretend to listen when someone else is talking. And I won't bring this up again. Rebel shook his head wearily. That's impossible. Please think before you speak, all right? That's impossible. I'm just someone who works for His Majesty. What power do I have? And what's wrong with lacking power? Ern answered him, as the captain of the Special Forces, you are essentially His Highness's right-hand man. Should I fall under suspicion again, a memorandum bearing your signature would be most helpful. Oh, you truly are an amusing young lady. Rebel ground his teeth in frustration, yet still managed to laugh. That is impossible. Faced with this resolve, Ern pondered for a long moment before calling her maid's name, Mila. Yes, my lady. Remove my clothes. The request startled the maid, who cried out, what? Naturally, her action also threw the investigation team into a panic, clutching their heads and shouting, ah, please don't. I have no desire to marry that woman. Hearing them shout about having to marry her, Ern was both shocked and angered, while Rebel spoke up, young lady, do you understand what that implies? If there is a magical artifact, it would exist wherever relics of the demon god are found. Therefore, if you have performed any related rituals or held onto relics for an extended period, even the faintest trace of magic would remain, and that would be the evidence. You should know better, especially when I have treated you so graciously. Completely unmoved by his words, Ern retorted with icy tones, if I do not cherish myself, then who will protect me? At the very least, I must safeguard my own honor. Fine, I understand. Allow me to write a record. If there is no evidence, I will at least not bring this matter up again. But if His Highness harbors suspicions once more, I truly cannot prevent it. Seeing the man before her yield, Ern thought to herself, yes, I understand that fellow's temperament as well. After they reached an agreement and the record was written, Rebel gave a sharp snap of his fingers, ordering, all right, begin the investigation immediately. The countless garments in the young lady's room that were meticulously examined. They searched and observed, leaving no corner untouched, while Ern, aided by her maid, donned her dress for the day. Although somewhat flustered, Mila handled the task well, and nothing serious occurred. Ern felt a twinge of worry as Mila tearfully confessed she had made a mistake. My lady, are you feeling unwell? Everything is fine. While changing, Ern heard the men's voices and jumped in fright. Guard captain, check under the bed. There seems to be a secret space here. A secret space. Ern struggled to maintain her composure, simultaneously signaling her maid to act nonchalant. Find the entrance quickly. Search for demonic energy. They've searched all night. It's bound to be discovered. It seems today we shall escort this young lady into a comfortable prison carriage. Prepared at once. Watching their actions, Ern couldn't help but imagine the worst. If I go down to the basement, I'll be arrested. Damn it, I need to calm down right right now. One member of the investigation team spoke first. I will sprinkle magic detection powder at the entrance. If any magic is present, the powder will slowly rise. As he acted, shimmering powder settled onto the floor entrance. What's happening? It's all sinking. Hearing this report, Rebel exclaimed in surprise. What? Check every corner of the basement and report back. What are you still standing there for? Get down there immediately. Seeing this, Ern loudly tried to stop them. You'll regret it if you go down there. So, there really is something down there. Rebel reached out to halt her actions and warned, if you continue to obstruct the investigation, I will not show mercy either. Is that so? His attitude truly provoked the young Lady Ern. A moment later, a soldier's voice echoed from the basement, calling for Rebel. Captain, you need to see this. Believing his subordinate had found evidence, Rebel revealed a triumphant smile, saying, let's go down together and see. Let's see what valuables are hidden below. With a heart filled with slight apprehension, Ern followed him down into the basement. Rebel, smiling gleefully, asked his subordinate, so, what did you discover? Captain, there's a small altar here. But their gazes turned to an altar before him, laden with glittering floral ornaments. What? What is this? Mila, you damn girl. Erna felt helpless and mortified, realizing her maid hadn't managed to clear away that dreadful altar in time. She had initially instructed her very carefully. Burn magic herbs in the four corners of the room, and if they got wet, light them immediately with a match. They would burn more intensely before corroding and erasing the magic. Make sure to erase those lines I hung up to restrain my spirit, understand? Hearing this, the maid had nodded repeatedly. Don't worry, young Mississippi. As it turned out, the reason she had been crying in fear earlier was precisely because she hadn't managed to erase those lines. Or what? Why didn't you clean it up, Mila? Erna thought, grinding her teeth. In her past life, with nothing but her body and soul, Urquina, that would write down what she desired to avoid losing herself under any circumstances. She constantly recorded and inscribed her wishes on the walls and in her heart. Urquina believed that writing down what you want amidst hardship would, no matter what, make it reality. She didn't want others to see such crude goals. Well, as for this, Rebel said awkwardly, his voice stiff, you're working hard to find a groom, aren't you? Good luck with that, little lady. Keep it up, young Mississippi. Erna bristled at his ill-timed encouragement. Don't pity me like that, you bastard. After some investigation yielded no clues, Rebel had no choice but to conclude, as you wished, your name is now cleared. I've even written a letter stating I won't mention this matter again. So please, remain quiet from now on. What? Now, Erna pressed on, surprising and worrying Rebel. We even wrote a statement. What more does she want? Erna flashed a triumphant smile, pointing at the guarantee document from moments ago. Let's treat this statement as a secret between us. If your superior were to see this, wouldn't you be in trouble? I'll keep it secretly and safely. Hopefully, I won't have to use it again. If I'm investigated once more, I'll present it to His Majesty. Caught in her grip, Rebel could only manage a smile. Strange, why does this young lady smell like my hometown? The scent of the streets, more like earth and gold. Hearing this, Erna subconsciously recalled a fact. Come to think of it, this guy is also from the Nylum Kingdom. Unlike me, he met a good master, escaped, and didn't have a control stone implanted in his heart. Rebel's gaze turned distant. That was just my feeling. Don't take it too seriously. Hearing this, Erna asked with a smile, do you gather information based on intuition? My biological father was a mercenary, so you prefer men who are a bit wilder. Rebel unexpectedly asked an off-topic question. My goal is to attain high status. If you're asking about my preference in men, then yes. Marriage is crucial for a noble lady, and my maternal family is a knightly house, so I must harbor such dreams. I see. Well then, be careful not to let that statement leak. Yes. Then Erna cursed inwardly again in anger. He said the altar worshipping the true God was fine, but why did he take away all the lines I wrote? Standing before her, Rebel offered a friendly smile, different from his initial rough demeanor. Anyway, I'm just mid-rank, not high rank. It's still a bit disappointing. I've even reached the 8th circle, you know? Mid-rank. 8th circle. Erna was quite surprised by his level, because in this world, those who could form 1 to 3 magic circles were low-rank mages, while those forming 4 to 8 circles were mid-rank. Catching the surprise in her eyes, Rebel flashed a confident smile, then asked, why are you staring wide-eyed now? I look a bit different, don't I? I don't know why you're telling me this. Erna narrowed her eyes, leaving the man feeling quite helpless. Well, at least I'm not a high-rank master. Ultimately, under Ern's skillful persuasion, they had no choice but to depart. Before leaving, Rebel couldn't resist glancing back at the girl one more time, marveling inwardly. She truly is a captivating lady. Back at the palace, the crown prince regarded his subordinate with a cold gaze before inquiring. So, you've failed to apprehend her, Knight Rebel. This is truly dreadful. His Highness specifically instructed us to capture her. Perhaps we'll face punishment now. Under the crown prince's oppressive stare, Rebel felt a flicker of fear, but answered honestly nonetheless, "Yes, Your Highness." These are the items she used to pray to her god. Hearing this, the crown prince shifted his attention to the objects they had brought back. Were these flowers used to adorn an altar? What is this peculiar scent? Look at this. The crown prince picked up the flowers, his sharp eyes helping him spot a clue his subordinates had missed. She burned marjoram. No, finding the dagger is conclusive proof of worship. If we apprehend her now, she'll merely have to pay a fine and flee. Besides, I sense she's concealing a much larger secret. I don't know when the standard for fools became so high. We must keep a close watch on that foolish girl and the Medina family, Your Highness. Are you all right? Rebel asked with concern. You were laughing just now. I thought perhaps you were unwell. The crown prince waved a dismissive, cold hand. Enough. Cease your nonsense. You are aware you will be punished, are you not? Even country bumpkins in the capital can pull such tricks, so sharpen your vigilance. In that sense, I shall punish the apprentice who violated the rules. Being labeled an apprentice caused Knight Rebel's shoulders to slump. I'm more hurt by the scolding than I expected. I had to try my best in my own way. A moment later, in the corridor, the chief advisor noticed Knight Rebel's dejected state. Hey, what did he say? Are you feeling quite unwell? You seem all right. You appeared a bit strange just now, but you quickly returned to normal. Hearing this, the chief advisor remarked, perhaps it's because you slept well last night. It's good to be in high spirits today. Has our boss not been sleeping well lately? That's what it means to be close to His Highness. Rebel asked, puzzled, why are you looking at me like that? The chief advisor had no choice but to enlighten him further. Since the war with the Niram kingdom ended, His Highness hasn't been able to sleep properly for 6 months now. Recently, the dosage of sleeping pills prescribed by the physician reached dangerous levels, so he stopped taking them. But last night he slept for 10 hours, dreamlessly. That sounds positive, but it's rather strange. To suddenly sleep so well, did something change his mind? Yes, it appears so, but the reason hasn't been identified yet. Meanwhile, at Ern's residence. Oh, I'm so exhausted after sending those people away. The young lady instructed her maid, Mila, I intend to sleep the entire day, so do not wake me. My lady, please open the door. Just as she was about to sleep, hearing the butler's irritating voice infuriated her. She flung the door open, looked him straight in the face, and demanded, what is it? Faced with this attitude, the butler shouted angrily, What is it? How can you be so indifferent? If something like this happens again, because of you, I will absolutely not let it slide. Amidst his yelling, she helplessly held her head and asked, and what exactly will you do about it? Hearing this, the old butler immediately commanded, From this moment on, you are forbidden from going out. You are not permitted to leave this annex. According to the records, the master stated that if you misbehave, I have the authority to lock you up. Ern's eyes blazed with fury as she thought. I was going to remain silent because I was tired, but I cannot tolerate such vulgar words. A suspicion formed in her mind. Did the young master hire someone like this as a butler? I am speechless. The formidable aura emanating from her overwhelmed the butler as she interrogated him. Who do you think you are? Do you believe a mere butler dares to imprison the Lord's granddaughter? I've heard many strange tales, but this is the strangest one yet. Confronted by these questions, the butler jumped, startled. What's wrong with this girl? He recalled the young master's previous instructions. Truthfully, she isn't even a real descendant of our family, practically just a freeloader, so treat her with the bare minimum of respect. Yes, young master. As soon as he received that order, the butler had summoned the head maid. Head maid? Where is the head maid? Listen carefully. From now on, tell the maids to scold and threaten her. Hearing the butler's demand, the head maid was also quite surprised and frightened. What? How could this be possible? The butler, naturally, continued threateningly. Do you intend to defy the young master's orders? Returning to the present, he looked at the girl before him, pondering. I clearly trained this foolish girl to the point where she trembled at the mere sight of a maid. What is happening? Could she have gone mad from being abandoned? Seeing the butler just standing there stunned, Erna impatiently raised her voice. Hey, how long do you plan to stand there? Have you finished saying what you wanted to say? The old butler flinched but gritted his teeth and continued. The young master will be back soon. He won't let you, who have committed all sorts of crimes, get away with it. Erna let out a large, weary yawn, then bid farewell. Sorry, I'm too sleepy to listen anymore. I'm going inside, so please make sure to continue ignoring me. Goodbye. Driven out of the house and lying on the lawn, the butler trembled with rage, cursing, this is madness. That crazy girl. Oh, he certainly has a lot of energy. Humph. As soon as she entered the room, she was met with the maid's concern. Young miss, are you all right? The butler looked extremely angry. Erna shrugged and replied, people like that get angry no matter how politely we speak to them, don't they? You're absolutely right, young Mississippi. The maid suddenly noticed the young miss staring at her and asked curiously, why are you suddenly looking at me like that? Young miss, why do you suddenly bring that up? I deeply regret those actions, and I am reflecting on your past behavior. All right, Mila, I'm going to sleep now. You can go over there. I really need a rest now. Rest well, young miss. Erna thought, young Mississippi, let's do one last check of the mission window before sleeping. Check the progress. These fools, they're really working hard for this mission thing. If I fail the mission and get dragged into the demon world, I will definitely find the ones who gave me the mission and slap each one of them across the face, definitely. Meanwhile, in a room adorned with fiery red tree branches, a middle-aged maid grasped the hand of someone lying in bed, saying, the trouble young Miss Erna is causing is getting bigger and bigger. Not only did she mess up that failed fake funeral, but last night she was also investigated for smuggling. Demon worship items. The family's fortune is nearly depleted. Our business is on the verge of bankruptcy, but now even the young Mississippi. Without the head of the household present, how can we possibly survive this crisis? Sound of sighing. A weary sigh echoed in the room, while young Miss Erna was relentlessly practicing. Young miss, what are you doing? How can you exercise in your undergarments? Facing the maid's concerns, Erna sneered, don't make such a fuss. No one could see in this annex anyway. Didn't the butler make such a scene that day, yet failed to reprimand me even once? Now is the perfect time to go around doing missions. Why is Ryzen always at home, making him unapproachable? Erna pondered as she took out the message received last time from the Intelligence Association. Intelligence report, tracking the movements of Ryzen Low of the guild for the days he is at home. Everything is too peaceful here. Around this time in my past life, something was always happening. The maid's voice interrupted Erna's thoughts. Young miss, since the weather is lovely, would you like to dine outside? All right. At that moment, the family's young master shouted angrily. Where is that bastard? Where is that idiot who causes trouble while the family is on the brink of collapse? The sycophantic butler rushed out to greet him. Facility head, welcome. You must be tired from your journey. You've worked hard managing the household affairs. Where is that girl? Does she truly worship evil spirits? The butler immediately answered the young master, stating that fortunately, the suspicion had been cleared. But she still did something attention-grabbing enough to catch the crown prince's eye, didn't she? If we leave her be, she'll ruin our family. The blonde woman who had just spoken was Judith, the daughter of the current head of the Medina family. Bring her here at once. The woman speaking next was the young lady of the Medina family, Judith. This time, we must properly discipline that fool. Yes, she craves attention. What she causes more trouble. Butler, bring all the strong maids. If we're going to punish her, it must be done thoroughly. But one among them suddenly spoke up, advising, calm down, we need to punish her quietly, without the outside world knowing. It seems we won't be able to punish her quietly. Phil and Fiona just ran off to discipline the girl. The young master took a few steps closer and then said, let them be. They need to start handling family matters. Besides, even if rumors spread that we're disciplining that idiot, everyone will side with us because of the demon worship accusations. Hearing this, everyone else agreed. You're right. I worried needlessly. But she is still the mistress of the house. As the butler, I am deeply ashamed for failing to control her. Seeing the butler admit his faults so respectfully, the young master waved his hand dismissively. Don't blame yourself. That girl is genuinely mad. And this was exactly as the old butler wished. A smug smile spread across his face. Since that day, I have waited for this moment. Today, you will be thoroughly punished. You madwoman. Ern was sleeping soundly in her bed, but when she startled awake and opened her eyes, her mind filled with questions due to the strange scene around her. Where am I? A strange garden. She tried to find an answer. I'm sure I fell asleep in my room. After exercising, why am I here at this hour? Pouting slightly, Ern suddenly recalled something from the past. In the past, in her previous life, when she was just a weak child facing fierce wolves, she could only hide on a tree branch and scream, "Please save me." Unexpectedly, a magical light responded to her screams. It was a fish created from that beautiful radiance. Then someone approached, seemingly a young man. A young man whose face couldn't be seen clearly, but he extended a hand towards the little girl. "Come down, I'll help you." At first, the little girl seemed hesitant, but eventually, she decided to come down with the young man's help. "You must have been terrified, but don't cry too hard. Who knows? Even if you fall, you can still head in the right direction." That year, Ern, chased by beasts, was saved by Ryzen. Although I was caught by scouts and remained a slave, why did I forget this memory? I owe him receiving this memory, a memory she had forgotten for so many years. Suddenly, Ern felt a painful shock as someone grabbed her hair. What is this? A sense of imbalance jolted her awake again. What is this? Before she could react, she heard conversations around her. She looks so foolish. Sleep well, idiot. Ern glared at the two people before her, instantly recognizing them. Mila said, "I might be kicked out of the family for touching the Gunther family's children. Those idiots are truly arrogant, so infuriating." "What did you just say?" The two were stunned by the fool's words, and also enraged. "Sister, hey, answer me. I heard you muttering. Did you just call us arrogant? So what if I did?" Ern answered them coldly. "How dare you be so arrogant towards me?" Her sharp words and piercing aura startled the two individuals. "Besides, since you've done wrong, it's only natural that I, as your elder, discipline you." The two children wondered if this girl was still not fully awake. They were met with Erna's icy gaze. "Furthermore, isn't there a world of difference between our statuses? Are you asking because you don't know? That's because you're a fool. They said you died and came back to life," the boy said sarcastically, stepping heavily on Miss Erna's foot. "It seems your head is still completely empty. I'll help you remember everything, so please just be quiet outside." Outside the annex, the old butler was guiding the young master, muttering incessantly. "It's time we showed them what she has done. Miss Erna has indeed been too reckless lately, hasn't she?" Hearing this, the young master also sighed in frustration. "You're right. Why did that troublemaker have to cause problems precisely when His Highness the Crown Prince has taken notice of us?" Just as they reached the door, they heard the head maid's voice scolding the maid Mila, still crying. "Butler, we've caught Miss Erna's maid. What's happening now?" That maid got into trouble too. That maid had disobeyed the young master's orders and served Miss Erna with single-minded devotion. This infuriated the young master more than ever before. His face immediately darkened, and he trembled with rage. The rest of the household also regarded this with extreme aversion. Has anyone ever seen something so disgusting? Dispose of that maid as well. Why did Mila trust Ernest so much? Naturally, that rather clever girl in the family also quietly inquired. "I will make her taste every lash she deserves." Just then, the maid Mila cried out loudly, defending her mistress. "Sir, Miss Erna is unwell. She's even been falsely accused of smuggling items related to devil worship." To think someone actually dares to defend that foolish woman, the young master glared at the maid and asked, "Did you take money from that idiot?" He was about to say more, but was stopped by his woman. "It's getting late, Baron. Did you hear the children screaming from Erna's residence? I thought it was strange from the beginning. Perhaps we should check the villa first." Her face darkened as her gaze shifted towards the building. Inside, upon hearing the children's words, Erna revealed a savage smile and replied, "No, you don't need to do that." Then, she swiftly subdued the two children and dragged them out to face their parents. Erna's icy voice rang out, startling everyone. "All of you stop. Stand still." This situation left the young master and his wife stunned speechless. "What is going on?" Erna was holding the two children hostage, demanding immediately, "Give me back my maid. Otherwise, I'll pull the ropes hard enough to break their wrists." As she gestured, the two children instantly screamed in agony. "It hurts! It hurts!" Their mother panicked upon seeing this and wanted to rush forward to save her children. Phil. But the young master stopped her in time. "Dear, no, don't move. It hurts. My hand hurts too." Manga. Watching her two children suffer, the mother was both furious and terrified. She clenched her fists and said weakly, "Then do as she says." What do you want me to do? If I hand over the maid to you, will you return the children to me?" Erna smiled and shrugged. "Otherwise, what would I keep them for? I'll give them back. So, send the maid back first." Hearing this, the woman immediately turned and shouted, "What are you all standing there for? Quickly, release her maid." Under Erna's focused gaze, her maid was untied, and Erna simultaneously released the two children. Having never experienced such a terrifying ordeal, the two children collapsed onto the ground in fear. Their previous arrogance completely vanished, replaced only by wails and cries. Initially, when those two children appeared, it was as if they had just returned from the brink of death. Ern secretly told herself that the ropes were already hidden, the magic had been used, and besides, she hadn't employed it very forcefully. Yet it was still incredibly startling. This crazed, foolish woman tried to suppress the pain in her body. The girl still turned her head furiously to glare at Ern, and cursed. Responding to her was Ern's savage smile, which sent a shiver down everyone's spine. "This time, I'll let you leave unscathed. Remember, next time won't be so peaceful." The words carried a hint of extreme, icy killing intent, and naturally, those two unruly children were now utterly stunned. The young master shouted angrily, "What about those accidents that happened when we weren't here?" Hearing him bring up what she had done, Ern narrowed her eyes and covered her mouth, laughing scornfully. "Trouble isn't just mine now. Tell me, what did you want to send to the former prime minister? You begged for money in pursuit of a meeting with the founder of the credit bank, didn't you? His Highness the Crown Prince seems to hate you quite intensely as well." Hearing what she had just said, the young master was so shocked he almost blurted out, "Oh, how did you know?" Ern chuckled lightly and continued, making him grit his teeth in anger. "People say the rot starts from the top. The water above is already far too putrid. Let's see if that's true." In his fury, he raised his hand, intending to strike Ern hard. "Stop." However, a somewhat unfamiliar voice rang out, halting the motion. Under everyone's gaze, a middle-aged maid ran closer, panting and weary-faced, then announced in panic, "The head of the family has woken up." This news plunged everyone into silence, followed by involuntary exclamations. My mother. I'm so glad she's awake." The family members quickly put on happy expressions, but Ern keenly sensed their awkwardness. She cast her gaze towards the young master, thinking, why did his expression suddenly stiffen? It's as if he didn't want the head of the family to wake up. A thought occurring to her, Ern suddenly smiled faintly and joined their conversation. "I have a few words to say." Seeing her interject, the young master shouted angrily, "Are you going to spout more nonsense?" Ern simply revealed her saintly, innocent face and replied, "Thinking about it now, I realize I was truly mistaken. Therefore, I will go see the head of the family and apologize for my errors." Witnessing this, the woman immediately whispered to her husband, "If the head of the family is awake, then he surely knows about all the trouble this idiot has caused." He nodded, then comforted his wife Judith. "Regardless, I will take you to see the head of the family." But she suddenly turned, smiled at Ern, and suggested before that, "I'd like to have a few words with you alone." Ern froze, wondering inwardly, after she tried to strike my maid, what else could she possibly want to say to me? The setting sun cast a gloomy hue over Travin. The two found a row of deserted shops to talk. Ern thought, after she tried to strike my maid, what on earth could she want to say to me? Pausing for a moment, she first asked with a concerned expression, "How have you been lately?" Hearing this question, Ern felt contemptuous inwardly. She hadn't even attended Ern's funeral, and now she comes asking how I've been. "I'm fine, thank you for asking." As soon as the pleasantries were exchanged, she immediately smiled maliciously, getting straight to the point. "Ern, have you seen the mad dogs on the street?" "Mad dogs?" "Mad dogs. They roam the neighborhoods, scavenging whatever they can eat. Those dogs always bark when they see people, but I know those dogs aren't mad. They're just injured or sick. And you have been very strange lately. Why has that mad dog appeared in our house recently? Tell me, Ern." Hearing every every one of her insinuating remarks. Ern seethed inwardly, while simultaneously scanning the woman before her with magic. Indeed, she was known for her cruelty. Any maid who served her would live in constant fear. I apologize, madam. I am truly sorry. The maid trembled, terrified after accidentally spilling a few drops of tea onto her mistress's foot. Are you all right? Are you hurt anywhere? Yes, madam. I'll fetch something to wipe it immediately. Watching the maid hurry away, the lady muttered under her breath, so clumsy and slow. Even if you return, there's no place for someone as inept as you. Now then, let's see how she reacts. I don't know what happened. I was so worried. Facing that facade of concern, Erna offered a faint smile, feeling compelled to explain. People change after they've died and come back to life, madam. This old mother is putting on quite the act. With those words, Erna sharply pushed away the woman's encroaching, filthy hand. Old mother, huh? Seeing the stunned expression on her face, Erna pressed on. Does it bother you that I call you old mother? But you don't even resemble an aunt, let alone a mother. So, shouldn't I treat you like the stranger you are? Under Erna's intense pressure, the woman retreated several steps in fear, her voice still attempting bravado. Nevertheless, please mind your manners. Hey, dear old mother, the one who needs to watch their manners isn't me, it's you. Didn't you just compare me to the mad dog next door? As she spoke, Erna channeled magic into her fingertips, thinking, let's add a little magic, shall we? If you don't want to get bitten by a mad dog like me, then don't touch me. If I must die because of you, I promise I'll drag your children down to the underworld with me. The threat left the woman utterly aghast. I can't believe it. Is she actually scared? But is Erna truly all right? Erna smiled faintly and continued, your expression is quite unsightly. I'm going to see the head of the family now. Think carefully and behave yourself. With that, she lightly patted the woman's shoulder in a dismissive farewell and turned to leave. Immediately after, the woman swayed, overcome by dizziness, her balance failing as she suddenly collapsed sideways, causing alarm among the onlookers. Erna, however, felt a sense of relief, surprised by such fragility. I barely used any magic just now, yet she crumpled so dramatically. A maid quickly rushed to her lady's side, her face etched with worry. Is everything all right, my lady? Seeing the maid's genuine concern, Erna paused for a moment, somewhat touched. Ignoring the commotion behind her, Erna sought the room where the head of the family rested. A middle-aged maid, who had been attending to the head, stood waiting by the door and relayed a message to Erna. You may enter, young lady. The head is barely conscious. This conversation might be your last with her. Although she wasn't always kind to you, young lady, she cared for you more than anyone. Observing the maid's demeanor and hearing her words, Erna thought to herself, I suppose the head of the family doesn't actually hate me. She nodded, indicating her understanding to the maid. I will see her, and I will be careful. The door swung open. A strange stillness filled the space, tinged with the faint scent of herbs. Lorena, the maid's voice called out, causing the old woman lying in bed to blink slowly. Young Lady Erna has arrived. She said she has something to discuss. The figure in the bed was aged and frail, yet her underlying beauty remained undeniable. The head's weak voice sounded, Erna, is that you? Gazing into the head's deep eyes, Erna confirmed her earlier suspicion. Those eyes. It seems she genuinely cares for Erna. Not only does she not hate Erna, I'm glad not everyone in this household despises me. Lost in thought, Erna momentarily forgot to respond, prompting the maid beside her to gently remind her, young lady, the head is calling you. Right? How careless of me. This isn't the time to be lost in other thoughts. She quietly composed herself, and then Erna spoke. Grandmother, I am here. I've caused you trouble. I am truly sorry. The head attempted to sit up, leaning her back against the headboard, asking weakly, Erna, what were you saying just now? Ern lowered her head, repeating her apology once more. I'm sorry for worrying you. I won't be so immature again. The head of the family seemed quite taken aback by this attitude, an indescribable joy flickering in her eyes, before she asked nonetheless, Ern, are you truly serious? She approached the bedside, taking the head of the family's hand in hers. Yes, grandmother, I am sincerely reflecting on my actions. However, could you do something for me? It's something only you can help me with, grandmother. Because of me, my family wishes to move to the annex. Please, Grandmother, rescind the order forbidding me from leaving. From the beginning, I only came to this residence because I wanted to, so I should be free to go anywhere. Hearing her grandmother's words, Ern sighed inwardly, just as I thought. The real young lady probably didn't want to live with those people either. Having spoken only a few sentences, the old woman on the bed involuntarily coughed, weary. Ern stood up in concern, calling out grandmother. Suddenly, amidst the coughing, the old woman began to speak. Ern, I understand why you're suffering. You still feel guilty, don't you? Your mother sent me a letter before she passed. That day you and your sister went up the mountain, only you returned, while your sister did not. Your uncle searched everywhere for your missing sister, but there was no news of her whereabouts. Missing. After hearing this news, your mother fell gravely ill from the overwhelming shock. Through this narrative, Ern recalled the words the man had spoken to her the previous night. You know what happened wasn't your fault, right? Connecting all the pieces, the truth emerged. She hadn't known Ern had a sister. She had assumed it was about some cousin. So, he was talking about Ern's sister back then. At that moment, the head of the family grasped her hand and then instructed, Ern, I always told you it wasn't your fault. It was just an accident. As you live, you'll realize there are many things in this world you cannot anticipate, control, or dictate. I feel terribly sorry for the child who left without a word. But right now, I must first take care of my beloved granddaughter before me. After I die, take my insurance money. With that sum, it won't be difficult for you to go out and live somewhere. Marry quickly and build a family you can rely on. Hearing every word of her instructions, Ern knelt on the floor in a deep bow, then said earnestly, Grandmother, I don't need the money. I only wish for you to get well. This concern surprised the head of the family, filling her with doubt. Are you really Ern? Yes, I am your granddaughter, madam. However, if you wish to give me something, may I ask for something else instead? After seeing her, Ern returned to her room, summoning the system panel with a triumphant smile playing on her lips. Finally, my reputation has increased. While checking the notes on the system panel, Ern mused, I've thought about this before, but does the increase in reputation vary depending on who acknowledges me? When I caused the other family members to worry, my reputation decreased, didn't it? When the head of the family acknowledged me as her granddaughter, my points increased by 100. Not being acknowledged by the rest of the family isn't regrettable. So, Ern's wishes are the key to reputation. There are many ways to improve my social standing. I will win the hearts of those whose recognition she desired, and my score will surely increase. Incidentally, there's more than one strange thing in this house. First, the family members. Then, isn't the mana within the head of the family completely chaotic? Her fingertips are also blue, as if she's been afflicted by some kind of special poison. Furthermore, Rosie seems to have no faith at all, yet she claims she often receives blessings from a priest. She even has Barnett pray daily with that Bible before the head of the family. They even had Ernest do that first. Orna told herself that the first priority was to prevent her grandmother's death. Before seeking out Ryzen, she needed to analyze the lock of hair Ernest had obtained to confirm the nature of this illness. He had also gained considerable renown. He seemed like an important figure to her. The life I desire, it bears some resemblance to the life I dreamt of in my past existence. Perhaps that dream of mine can finally be realized. Oh heavens! A sharp scream pierced the silence. The young lady stared at the scene before her, her expression one of utter terror. Oh no, what has become of our family? Darling, wake up. Seeing their frantic state, Erna emerged with a faint smile, calling out loudly, Oh, hello there. Isn't a lovely day today? What's this? Their fearful gazes shifted to the terrifying hound standing behind the girl. Behind the girl, Erna chuckled and shrugged. What do you mean? This is just an adorable dog. But in their eyes, the creature was undeniably a monster capable of frightening anyone. What kind of dog is that? It's a monster. Get rid of it quickly. A small smile touched Erna's lips as she retorted, Is there a problem, even if I don't particularly care for it? I received this annex building and its attached lands as a gift from the head of the family. I have the documents, stamped with the head seal, as proof. Perhaps you don't wish to believe it, but this land is now officially mine. Therefore, whether I raise a dog or a monster on my property is none of your concern. This creature isn't a monster. It's merely a retired soldier. Hearing this, the ant grew even more incensed and panicked. Nonsense. Why would Mother give land and property to a fool like you? Never mind her. Even Erna herself hadn't anticipated the head gifting her a private building. And yet, here we are. Returning to the present, Erna offered a provocative smile. Aunt, in case you've forgotten, I am also a member of the Medina family. That means I am entitled to the family's assets. If anyone has grievances, please direct them to me or someone else." As she finished speaking, the dog beside her let out a bark, startling everyone present. "If you wish to become a snack for my dog, then by all means, try your luck." Terrified by the monstrous hound, the three individuals scrambled away in a panicked retreat. Their cowardice and weakness struck Erna as both amusing and tedious, making such a fuss, yet unable to land even a single blow. The maid, standing behind, had witnessed the entire exchange and couldn't stop marveling. "Lady Erna, you are truly magnificent. You scare them off so effortlessly. I suspect they won't be bothering us again anytime soon." Indeed, they wouldn't want to get bitten by a military hound that used to hunt monsters in dungeons. Miller asked with concern, "So what does the young lady intend to do today? Would you like to rest?" Erna nodded with a smile, then said, "I need to go out this evening. I must visit the night market at the Magic Tower." That evening, at the Magic Tower's night market, Erna, cloaked to conceal her identity, navigated the streets step by step. Despite the uneasy atmosphere in the capital, it remained open. On the last day of each month, a secret night market, known only to insiders, took place. Although not sanctioned by the government, they seemed to turn a blind eye, likely due to the Magic Tower's influence. This was typically a place for trading byproducts from dungeons. "I came here for another reason as well." She located an individual and inquired, "Rumor has it that you possess restoration magic and are exceptionally knowledgeable in medicine. Could you possibly use your skills to help me analyze these samples?" The person across from her hastily shook their head. I don't know where you heard that, but hair alone is insufficient." Erna understood and produced another item from her bag. "Not even if I offer you this." Upon seeing the precious jewel, the person's demeanor shifted instantly, nodding in agreement. "It will likely take 2 to 3 hours. I shall finish as quickly as possible." Cough, cough. A short while later, Erna wandered through the bustling streets, contemplating how to occupy herself during the wait. Just then, a noisy crowd up ahead captured her attention. Oh, heavens, it was a monster fight. Low-level creatures captured in dungeons were pitted against each other in a cage. It was a spectacle where mid-level or higher magicians or swordsmen would annihilate the monsters using their mana. Intrigued, Ern turned her gaze forward to watch. Inadvertently, she bumped into the shoulder of the person beside her and immediately murmured an apology. "Excuse me." But unexpectedly, the man chuckled, removing his cloak as he replied, "Oh no, that was my fault. Are you all right, miss?" Hearing that voice, Ern's expression froze in utter shock. That voice. As she looked at the face, a name surfaced in Ern's mind, Seal. "Miss, are you unharmed?" Ern composed herself, feigning ignorance. "It's nothing serious, just startled by the crowd earlier. Thank you for your concern." At her words, the man smiled and shook his head. I see. "Well, I'm relieved then. However, this black market is a dangerous place, so it would be wise for you to be careful." "Yes, thank you for the advice." Ern offered a polite bow, thinking inwardly, "This fellow has gotten a bit sharper while I was away. When I first met him, he was just an innocent boy who knew nothing. Could it really be him?" Just then, shouts erupted from the crowd, throwing everyone into chaos. "Monster! The monster escaped. Everyone run." "What? What about the magician fighting it? That doesn't look like a low-level monster." Standing amidst the throng, Ern sensed something strange again, her eyes widening. "Wait, it's targeting me, isn't it? There's no way it would suddenly change targets." Honestly, she sighed wearily, not expecting to get entangled in such matters just by standing and watching, judging by the aura emanating from the monster. So, it's been tainted by darkness. Is it that darkness? Just as she was about to intervene and dispose of the creature, another hand moved to shield her. "I will protect you." It was that man, Seal. The power radiating from him swiftly tore the monster to shreds. He killed it in a single blow. His skills have improved considerably since last time. Just then, Seal's voice rang out, laced with admiration. "It's quite remarkable that you noticed the darkness clinging to it. Although the mantis and Aduxini are low-level monsters, their power increases when they are together, so ordinary magicians often fear them, sometimes failing even to recognize them. Indeed, when it turns dark." Ern explained shyly, "Ahaha, I happened to read about it in a book not long ago, and then it appeared right before me. Well, it's getting late, so I should be going." Suddenly, the man opposite her chuckled. "Are you planning to pretend pretend you don't know me until the very end. Right until the last moment. It's you, Seal. What brings you here? Before she could respond or say anything more, fluid from the body of the mantis monster splattered onto Ern's head, silencing her. Let's get out of here first. Soaking in a bath. Mused. Seal, that guy. Since I left like that and came back, perhaps he's become even more persistent now. Seal was a difficult child to handle. Maybe he found it harder because he suffered from some sort of illness. He was a sensitive boy, afraid of everything because he grew up in confinement. It was I who taught him about the world. That's all in the past. But even though I saved his life, he still clings to me. I should hurry up, finish bathing, and leave. No sooner had she finished her bath than she heard the man's voice again. Miss, you never wore glasses, did you? Ern fell silent for a moment, flustered, then replied, You already know the answer. I used them as a disguise back then, and, well, perhaps if you have something you want to say, just say it. Seal struggled to contain his emotions as he began. As you know, the Nairon Principality, they tried to summon a demon by sacrificing you. I couldn't believe it, having to send you away without even finding a body. The person I thought was dead is right before my eyes now. Ernest sighed wearily, explaining, I don't know what happened, but I think there might be some side effects. But suddenly, Seal grabbed her hand, growing excited. That's not a side effect, it's a miracle, because you've come back to life. Erna recoiled in panic, shouting, Don't suddenly grab me. Let go of my hand. Grabbing a woman's hand like that will get you scolded, understand? Seal, however, was worried about his master. You're about to hit the bookshelf. Please be careful. Bookshelf. Hearing this, Erna turned to look behind her. The sight of the bookshelf and the items stored on it instantly stunned her. Seal, have you been participating in some kind of dissection training recently? Seal shook his head awkwardly, explaining, I didn't collect them for that purpose. Whenever I missed you, Master, I collected skulls that looked like yours, Master. You understand how I feel, right? Seeing his crazed look, Erna felt instantly helpless. All right, no matter how urgent the situation, this won't work. A skull. Master, are you all right? Call me Erna. Don't call me Master. I'm no longer your master. Besides, we don't know each other in this life. Throw that skull away. It feels strange in front of me. Seal immediately crushed the skull in his hand, revealing a brilliant smile. All right, Erna, I'll do anything you want. Dispose of all these skulls immediately, right? Didn't you put a lot of effort into collecting them? Don't you feel it's a waste to throw them away so easily? But Seal shook his head, answering calmly, I don't care. Leaving that place, strolling under the moonlight, Erna recalled what the leader from her past life had told her. Urquana, you will infiltrate the magic tower in 1 year and become a tutor. For the son of the magic tower master, trapped inside, steal the treasure we ask you to bring. And that was the reason Erna had broken into the magic tower as a teacher in her past life and met the child named Seal. At that time, her guide constantly instructed, the young master is a very fragile and sensitive person. Actually, the title of private tutor is just for show. Please take care of him so he doesn't become even more insane. Does he have a mental illness? Walking into a luxurious and splendid room, Urquana, forcing a smile, looked at the boy and heard his frightened voice. Hello, I am sorry. I didn't do this because I wanted to. He was the youngest son of Duke Hazarin, who had served as the magic tower master for generations. A madman imprisoned because he couldn't control his own abilities. A pitiful, helpless child. If I leave him like this, won't he die? He has already lost the will to live. So even if he becomes the tower master, he still lives like a slave of the Nairon Principality. The only young master I could save. He was just an innocent child, very lonely, but he's changed so much. Is this the prize for my meddling? And just then, the system panel appeared again, bringing news that angered Erna. Encountered marking candidate Seal. Added to candidates. This damned status operates without any regard for a person's pace. Erna unconsciously reached out to touch the system panel, murmuring, no matter how urgent it is, I can't grab onto a rotten rope. Late at night, there was no one on the streets. Erna searched blankly for the shop, then saw the sign placed in front of the door again. Closed for today, she shouted in anger. Damn it, don't close so early today. What's going on? Just then, a familiar voice rang out, stunning her, freezing her in place. The person who appeared was none other than the Crown Prince. He smiled eerily, musing, it seems the moon is bright tonight, so the lunatics are all wandering about. Shall we take down this madwoman? What? What is happening today? Ern thought wearily, forcing a welcoming smile. Haha, Your Highness. It's been a while. It's good to see you again. Oh, well then, I'll just... As soon as she heard him speak, she stepped back, only to see a rope flying towards her. Why is this guy suddenly throwing a rope? He can't just use restraints publicly like this. Meanwhile, the Crown Prince caught a glimpse of the faint golden butterfly within her, which excited him. Ern shouted loudly, "What do you think you're doing, Your Highness? Is it permissible to arrest an innocent citizen arbitrarily?" The Crown Prince shook his head firmly. "You are not innocent because you were in the black market. If you don't want more trouble, come with me quietly." Helplessly, Ern had no choice but to follow him, wondering what he was up to. In the silent room, she screamed internally. He dragged someone here, sat quietly for a moment, and now he's just staring. "I'm so mad, Mom. I really hate this damn power. More than this power, I hate this guy called Kiers." Suddenly, the Crown Prince let out a soft chuckle and then said, "I really hate this Niram territory." This statement left Ern completely bewildered. What's wrong with him all of a sudden? What should I do then? Suddenly, she saw the Crown Prince loudly command the soldiers outside. "Where are they? Bring him in." A man was thrown onto the floor, and the Crown Prince asked Ern, "Well, do you know him? Who is he?" He's the royal noble who funded the Nymir Duchy's festival. He's a madman who built a factory in the Nymir territory that people didn't know when might collapse. This guy established an illegal pharmaceutical factory in the Nymir Duchy and conducted various experiments on slaves. As a result, over 100 people died. "Oren, yes, execute this man and reward the soldiers." The Crown Prince ordered immediately. "Follow me quietly." Ern watched this scene, pondering. He's insane, killing over 100 people. Even execution isn't enough for him. Suddenly, he spoke to her in an affirmative tone. This girl watches without blinking an eye, as if she's quite familiar with such scenes. Realizing she had revealed a flaw, Ern quickly waved her hands and explained, "Teach, that's impossible. I am a good noble of the Empire." "Is that so?" The Crown Prince's eyes were filled with mockery and mystery. "Even if it's unnecessary, I should still treat you properly. I prepared black tea to welcome an honored guest. Have you ever heard of a black tea called Silver Moon? This black tea is famous for its aroma and is known as Silver Moon tea, due to its unique taste and fragrance. This tea is often used as an antidote. For an ordinary woman like Ern, this would be difficult information to know. Go on, drink up." Under his intense gaze, Ern worried inwardly. If Kiers knew I was a Quana, would he kill me easily? She didn't know. The Crown Prince before her also had his own thoughts as he watched her. If I observe her behavior carefully, the two are different. But why should I care? "This tea smells wonderful," Ern replied, thinking to herself. Yes, that's right. He prefers to torment people using their weaknesses rather than resorting to poison. But then the Crown Prince's next words shocked her. "I am looking for someone, and strangely, looking at you reminds me of that person." "Good. There's a woman who owes me a debt. When I find her, I intend to collect." "Do you have any connection to that woman?" "Then why do you look like you owe that woman something? And why do you have that woman's fan?" So he's already discovered the fan. Ern struggled to remain calm, thinking of a countermeasure. "It's not surprising. I just need to avoid being found out." If he has already seen the fan, then the only way to avoid suspicion is this fan. She immediately took out the fan, fanning herself nonchalantly. "This imitation is something I made myself, all to capture the attention of Your Highness." "What are you talking about?" The Crown Prince was too surprised to speak. Erna gritted her teeth and fabricated a story. "When I saw you at the banquet, I was completely captivated by you, Your Highness. So I've been trying hard to learn about you, waiting for any news." "Weren't you searching for news about a woman named Aquana?" "So, step by step, I gradually transformed myself into the kind of woman Your Highness keeps close, also that you might notice me. As it turns out, my method did catch your attention, so I suppose it was a success, wasn't it? My efforts weren't in vain." The Crown Prince's expression turned grim, and he spoke heavily, word by word. "So, this means I was deceived by you." "A fool." Erna caught her breath, then asked I was serious. "Did you really think I was joking?" "Get out." The Crown Prince's icy voice rang out, startling the girl, who couldn't comprehend his reaction. "Get out before I truly decide to kill you." Sensing the heavy pressure and killing intent from the man before her, Erna didn't want to linger and seized the opportunity. "Well then, farewell." With that, she immediately ran off, but most importantly, her mind was filled with questions about the Crown Prince's expression just moments ago. Why did the Crown Prince look looked so hurt just now. The blue sky is so beautiful, but Erna is in no mood to appreciate it. No matter how much she thought about it, she still couldn't understand Kier's reaction earlier. Could it be that he truly wished I were a Quana? Even though he clearly knows I'm dead. Why? Just as she was pondering, a maid's voice came from outside the door. "Miss, may I come in for a moment? There's a letter for you here." Hearing this, Erna felt puzzled and sat up from her bed. "For me? Who sent it? Really? Let me see. Here are the analysis results you requested. You asked a healing mage to perform this task. If you require further assistance, please feel free to contact me." Reading the letter's contents, Erna thought, this handwriting. Is it Seal? Is this guy crazy? Doesn't he know sending a personal letter to a lady as the master of the magic tower would raise suspicion? He didn't sign his name. Well, I should look at the results first. After reading the analysis results in the letter, Erna's face immediately turned as black as ink. The analysis indicated that the owner of the hair had been poisoned with black pearl toxin. Black pearl, a serpentine monster found in mid-level or higher dungeons. This toxin is quite difficult to detect, which is why even after consulting many magic doctors, they couldn't cure the head of the household's illness. It seems it was discovered thanks to the detailed analysis by the master of the magic tower. I owe that guy another favor. Meanwhile, the maid standing beside her asked curiously, "Miss, why was the head of the household poisoned?" "Mila, it's not good to peek at your master's letters." The girl immediately shook her head in embarrassment. "I'm sorry, Mississippi. Because I've been learning to read recently, I just want to read everything. Be careful next time. I'm also very curious why my grandmother was poisoned. I need to start investigating as soon as possible. This poison must have been ingested or come into contact with the skin. The most likely person to administer is someone who takes care of her. Miss Barnett. Barnett is just a caregiver who diligently looks after the head of the household. Besides her, no one else visits the head. Who used this poison, and by what method?" "Miss, are you troubled?" the maid asked with concern, seeing her mistress's frustrated expression. Indeed, the young lady couldn't find any clues. Mila continued, "I worry that if you keep going to the main house, you'll be scolded by the head of the household or the butler." Erna shrugged calmly. "Don't worry about that. Would they kill me just because I visit often?" As soon as she finished speaking, Ern's expression immediately turned serious as she realized something. She quickly turned to the maid and asked, "Mila, the caregiver before Barnett, I heard she died. Do you know anything about that?" Yes, I've heard the story about the previous caregiver. The young master hired an elderly caregiver because she was cheap. Around that time, the family head's condition suddenly worsened, and that caregiver soon died of pneumonia. Pneumonia is an infection not everyone knows, where the patient's lungs get infected by bacteria, viruses, or fungi, making it difficult to care for other patients. It's said the young master planned it that way to inherit the fortune. What I just said is probably just gossip, but it's something they shouldn't be saying. That was it. Ern had the answer she needed. She quickly took out a pen and paper, wrote down what she wanted, and handed it to Mila. "Mila, go to the magic tower right now and deliver this note. This is an important note. Don't lose it." That night, the moonlight was bright and cold. Ern stood out on the balcony, as if waiting for someone. Out of the darkness, Seal appeared with a smile. He called her master. Fortunately, he had come discreetly, as she requested. No matter how urgent things were, she wasn't the type to send messages to the master of the magic tower lightly. Seal asked with a grin, "I came as soon as I saw the note. Didn't you say you needed me?" "Knowing you needed me made me very happy." Ern didn't want to linger and immediately turned back inside. "All right, hurry and follow me. I assume you know there's a patient here who needs care." Faced with her attitude, Seal seemed a bit crestfallen. "Master, why are you so cold? I was so happy to see you that I rushed over." Hearing his complaining tone, Ern shivered. "I had no choice. It's an emergency." "Seal, aren't the masters of the magic tower masters of poison through generations?" Getting to the point, Seal confirmed seriously, "Yes, I know a great deal about poisons." "Good. Then help detoxify the head of this family, Lorena. The owner of this hair has tested positive for poison." But strangely, Seal asked her a question. "Why? Whatever happens to these people, isn't it none of your concern, Lady Urquana? Have you perhaps grown fond of this family during your time here?" Hearing this, Ern was taken aback and denied it. "It's not like that, Seal. I just want to thoroughly resolve the issues with this family, to settle the karma and entanglements with them. This way, even if I have to leave this family later, there won't be any problems, right? You're my master. Let's hurry and see the family head. I will do my best to help you cure her. This person is the poison patient and the head of the Medina family. I will give her some antidote. Her bodily functions will be temporarily activated, and she will wake up soon. With that, he administered the temporary antidote to the family head. Ernest stood beside him, asking anxiously, when will she wake up? In less than 5 minutes. Just as he said, only a few minutes later, the unconscious matriarch on the bed coughed. Then, the old woman weakly opened her eyes, looked around fuzzily, and asked Ernest, what happened here? Seal immediately stepped forward and introduced himself politely. My name is Seal Hezron, Master of the Magic Tower. I came here because your granddaughter requested my help. What? What? The matriarch was utterly astonished by this information and the identity of the young man before her. Yes, Grandma, there is a very important matter to discuss. So, I sought the help of the Master of the Magic Tower. Grandma, please listen carefully. You weren't sick. You were poisoned. What? The matriarch's face was a mask of pure astonishment, finding the shocking news unbelievable. After a moment, regaining her composure, the old woman approached her and asked, word by word, who wants to kill me? Though doubtful, Ernest shook her head. I don't know, but perhaps it's those who stand to gain from your passing, Grandma. Those within this very house. Silence. The old woman suddenly cried out, startling Erna, who didn't understand what was wrong. Grandma, are you all right? The old matriarch stared at her, asking word by word, did you wake me just to spout such nonsense? Is there something wrong with you? But the old woman was met with her granddaughter's tear-filled eyes. This expression surprised the old woman, bringing a sense of bitterness. Erna clenched her fists, speaking painfully. Considering my past actions, it's only natural you find it hard to believe me. Please, see this as my final chance. I beg you, just trust me this once. I will definitely catch the real culprit behind this. A moment later, the butler ran through the entire mansion, shouting loudly, something terrible has happened. The matriarch has passed away. This shocking news quickly summoned all family members. They rushed to the matriarch's room, only to find that foolish granddaughter standing there. Wait, Mother! A somewhat frantic voice cried out, Mother can't leave us. Please open your eyes. Entering later was Aunt Rosie. She noticed something dropped on the floor. That's a medicine bottle, isn't it? Wasn't she with Mother before she died? Didn't she even give her medicine? A plan rapidly formed in her mind, and she trembled as she yelled, Erna, that girl finally succeeded. You lunatic, why don't you just die? With that, the aunt grabbed her shoulders. You poisoned Mother, didn't you? Poison. Erna, bewildered, shook her head and explained, there seems to be a misunderstanding. That medicine bottle contained the antidote. Grandma was already poisoned before. I was just taking care of her. It was unclear what part of this enraged her, but she furiously slapped Erna hard across the face. Are you even speaking human words? It's precisely because you just fed Mother poison that she was definitely poisoned by you. Erna, feigning panic, explained, I can prove to everyone that Grandma was poisoned. Please let me examine her body. At this moment, the young master spoke up. What are you all doing? Why should I listen to this madwoman? Who killed my mother? Tie her up immediately. As the head of the family, I authorize you to do so. Erna was weakly restrained by the butler, still struggling and explaining, I didn't kill her. The old young master then sneered threateningly. You will ultimately pay the price for your reckless actions. You won't die a good death. After tying Erna up, the group looked towards the completely unconscious and lifeless old woman on the bed. Now, how should we arrange Mother's funeral? Aunt Rosie spoke up. Have you all forgotten that Erna, that crazy girl, held a fake funeral before? Even if we hold a funeral, who would come? There was such a thing. Then the young master and his wife exchanged a knowing glance and announced, I think Rosie is right. At a time like this, it's best not to make a fuss. Let's handle it within the family. If everything is ready, then prepare quickly. The butler will stay by my side to prepare. Yes, madam, the butler replied. But then Rosie countered with a smile, what? Why call me madam when it's just the two of us? Call me by my name. Saying this, she nestled into the butler's arm. Right? What do you plan to do with her? Her? You mean that fool? MHM. Her expression darkened as she recalled Erna's earlier words. Do you think she suspected something? How else would she know Mother was poisoned? The butler, however, was much more optimistic. She's a crazy girl. I guess she just says whatever comes to mind. There's no need for an autopsy unless we report it to the Holy Knights. The butler embraced Rosie from behind and continued. The matriarch was always in poor health. It's common for the elderly to pass away from illness. Yes, that's right. I almost forgot I still had to deal with that thing. Yes, that's the only piece of evidence. The butler suggested handing it over to me, and then I would handle it. But after searching for a moment, Rosie explained in shock, it's not here. I clearly put it here, but it's gone. Let's search more carefully. It couldn't have just grown legs and run off. Suddenly, Ern appeared behind them, her voice cold as ice. What are you looking for? Perhaps it's not in this room. Ern's words made Rosie tremble with fear. She demanded, what are you talking about? You hid it, didn't you? You hid it. The fear of being discovered overwhelmed her, seemingly driving her mad. She stepped forward, grabbing Ern's shirt to confront her. Ern laughed, replying with a provocative smile, wouldn't it be better to stay away from me? The guests have arrived early. Is it all right to greet them like this? Her words left Rosie completely bewildered, but she couldn't hide her fury. What are you talking about? You madwoman, tell me quickly where you put it. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed, causing her to release Ern. Puzzled, she asked, what was that sound? Ern collapsed onto the floor, looking weak. My guests have finally arrived. What is she saying? Rosie couldn't comprehend her seemingly crazed niece's words until the butler, peering through the window, answered in panic. Oh, heavens. A group of people is entering our estate, bearing the insignia of the Peace Knights. The news struck like a thunderbolt. Rosie stood rooted to the spot, dumbfounded and unable to react. The Peace Knights. Did someone report this? Who? Save me. Before she could even process the situation, Ern began to cry out pitifully. I'm trapped in here. Please, save me. As she spoke, she bound herself and then slammed her head hard against the door. Rosie and the butler were utterly shocked by her actions. What are you doing? Didn't you come here on your own? Just then, the door from the outside was flung open. Ern lost her balance and stumbled directly into the person who had just appeared outside the door. Sobbing, she pointed accusingly. These people killed the head of the family, and they want to kill me too. In truth, everything had been meticulously calculated by Ern beforehand. She had instructed her maid, Mila, if anything happens at home today, go to the Peace Knights headquarters and bring the knights here. Make sure to mention the family name. What has happened here? The newly arrived knight asked again. At this, Ern lifted her head, looked at him, and replied, as I told you, these people killed the head of the family, and they intend to kill me as well. But then, as she saw the man's face clearly, astonishment washed over her features. A familiar voice spoke, his tone hardening as he noticed the marks on her face. These injuries, were they caused by someone hitting you? The prince asked, his voice stern and cold. Ern hadn't expected him to come here personally. Your Highness, why are you here? But she quickly pushed the thought aside and continued her answer. Yes. What happened next was surprising. The prince gently brushed her hair aside, closely examining the wounds on her face. He spoke coldly to the people in the room. Tell me, which one of them struck you? You fool. Seeing the prince's arrival, the remaining people in the room were frozen in a state of fear and disbelief. I will personally apprehend whoever bullies the old and weak in this territory, the prince declared. 1 hour earlier, at the office of the Templar Knights headquarters, the prince sat in his office, but his thoughts drifted like clouds, carrying a strange feeling. The image of that foolish girl constantly surfaced in his mind. They don't even look alike. Then why, when I look at that woman from the Medina family? The prince couldn't shake the images of the two women. Angrily, he slammed his pen down hard on the paper. I can't even concentrate on my work. Your Highness, Captain Rebil rushed in frantically to report. Didn't you ask me to report immediately regarding any issues with the Medina family? I heard a maid from that household requested the immediate dispatch of the security forces. I suspected something must have happened there. The prince immediately offered a smile and made his request. Take me to that maid. I need to seize this opportunity to thoroughly settle matters concerning Miss Medina. It seems someone already laid hands on her before I did. The prince looked towards Erna and pressed on. You fool, why aren't you answering? I am asking who struck you. It's truly exhausting talking to a fool. Hearing this, Erna seethed, cursing inwardly. He calls me a fool every single time he speaks. She quickly answered, those two. It was those two over there who hit me, she declared, pointing towards the two figures trembling before her. The butler frantically tried to explain. Your Highness, she is putting on an act. It's all a performance. She is merely pretending to be injured. But the response he received was the prince's powerful hand, accompanied by a savage smile. I could just as easily assume that you two are also pretending, could I not? You must have harmed her just now. Cease this nonsense. Then the prince turned his head to look at the remaining woman. Now, it is your turn. His gaze made her feel as though she were being targeted by a monster, gripped by an uncontrollable fear. Letting out a few weak shrieks, Rosie trembled and fled towards the inner room. Help me. Watching her retreating figure, Erna wondered inwardly. Running away is futile. Is she an idiot? With that thought, she turned her back to the prince, gesturing for him to help untie her ropes. As the prince helped release her bonds, he asked with curiosity, You managed to untie yourself last time. Why not do it yourself this time? Erna shrugged in response. What? I was beaten and injured. How could I possibly untie them? I'm just an ordinary weak woman, am I not? This is how ordinary people behave. The prince sighed, then explained cryptically, Just as I suspected, you are not a Quana. Inside the room, Rosie's panicked screams echoed once more, Mother. She was utterly terrified as her hand was firmly grasped by the hand of the person who was supposed to be dead. The matriarch, at that very moment, opened her bright eyes and fixed her gaze upon her daughter. Mother. The scene unfolding before Rosie was utterly unbelievable. Mother is alive. Why is the deceased matriarch still living? Her mind flashed back to that night. The conversation between Erna and her grandmother, when Erna had produced a vial of medicine. Grandmother, please trust me and drink this. The side effects might cause you to lose consciousness for a short while, but afterwards, you will understand everything. Returning to the present, the matriarch looked upon her daughter with profound disappointment and asked, That child told me the truth, yet it was you I placed my trust in. Why did you betray me? Confronted by the old woman's accusation, Rosie gritted her teeth and retorted, Mother, I believe you must have misunderstood something. Is this family perhaps specialists in the art of faking death and returning to life? The prince interjected, cutting through the rising clamor. Madam, I wish to hear an explanation regarding this situation. Facing the prince, the matriarch bowed courteously. Firstly, I must apologize for presenting such an embarrassing spectacle. I personally witnessed my own daughter conspiring with a butler to murder me. And where is the evidence? The prince inquired, receiving the answer from the attendant who had been caring for the matriarch. It is here. These are the items utilized by those who attempted to assassinate the matriarch. It appears that poison was applied to the pages of the prayer book and allowed to dry. How? How can this be? Upon seeing the book, Rosie's face turned deathly pale. I shall also submit the medical examination report issued by the Magic Tower as evidence. During the period I handled this prayer book, I too was exposed to the poison. Perhaps it was due to this very book that the caregivers passed away one after another. This is black pearl poison. The prince immediately commanded his soldiers, arrest those two villains and ensure you conduct a thorough search of this entire mansion. Rosie cried out anxiously, Wait, are you going to convict me based solely on what this lowly maid brought? This is slander. It's all fake. Mother, save me. Mother. Hearing her pleas, Ern couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. She was actually asking for help from the very person she tried to kill, wasn't she? She truly has no conscience. But soon, her cryptic smile froze when she heard Rebill's voice from behind. What's making you so happy? Oh, heavens, Mississippi. How did you get injured so badly? Quick, apply some ointment. He then approached the prince to report. There's a hidden compartment in the dressing table, right? Yes. As time passed, that child seems less noisy. Ah, truly unexpected. Seeing her grandmother collapse to the floor, Ern rushed forward anxiously. Grandmother, Your Highness, my grandmother is unwell. Can we step outside first? The prince nodded in understanding. The witness questioning will happen later, so send someone over then. All of you may leave, except for you. You fool. I think I'll need to personally visit the family estate to investigate you. We are closely monitoring the matriarch and the matriarch's granddaughter, as both were involved in the incident. I think this will be a good opportunity. Spare only the matriarch this time and eliminate the rest. Ah, my original purpose for coming here was precisely to kill this woman. Ern struggled to contain herself, pointing at the clothes she wore, asking, Shall I wash these and return them to you later? The prince shook his head, smiling playfully. It's unsightly, so just wear it. Unconsciously, he was reminded again of the image of that female villain and the girl standing before him. That woman is no longer of this world. Even you look so pitiful sometimes, the prince remarked, then mused inwardly. Instead, should I spare you who resembles her? These clothes are truly flashy and beautiful. Do you like this type of clothing? Ern asked the prince, admiring her attire. Not particularly, he replied, shaking his head. But having said that, the prince rose from his chair. Someone once told me to dress respectably when doing bad things. Oren, dismiss the knights. Prepare to interrogate the butler as soon as we return. The chief advisor immediately accepted the order. Yes, your highness. On this Miegel inwardly, the uninvited guests left faster than I thought. That Uncle Gunther, who excitedly went off to arrange for a coffin, will be back soon. He has no idea what's happening now, still eagerly preparing to become the heir. The day has finally come. Hurry up, get moving. I need to hold the funeral before sunset today. Right. I also need to move into the matriarch's room today. Amidst that excited mood, an old voice rang out. You seem quite excited. Before he could react, a wooden stick appeared. The matriarch struck her son hard on the head, scolding loudly. Someone wants me dead sooner. I cannot entrust the position of matriarch to someone who would do such a thing. Looking at her son, kneeling fearfully before her, the matriarch immediately declared, Gunther, I revoke your succession rights. I have already amended the will. I don't want to see your face, so stay in the annex. Your family too. Hearing her mother-in-law say this, his wife immediately panicked. Come here. The matriarch ignored them, gesturing for Ern to approach. I heard everything you did to this child, so don't even think about denying it. Remember, if you harass my granddaughter again, I will give you a punishment far harsher than this. Ern, you come with me. With that, the matriarch turned and walked inside. Ern secretly glanced back at those people, giving them a triumphant smile. In that very moment, their positions within the family officially changed in an unimaginable way. That night, the matriarch sincerely thanked her granddaughter. Thank you so much for saving me, successor. I have many questions about how you performed such a miracle. Is there anything you need me to do for you right now? Faced with the matriarch's question, Erna pondered for a moment, then replied, Actually, I've been wanting to relearn swordsmanship. But you once said you hated swords. Erna smiled and shook her head. No, I think I no longer need to care about others' opinions. Now, hearing this, the matriarch looked surprised. Others' opinions. You didn't seem to want to learn swordsmanship these days, did you? Erna continued slightly. During this time, I've been secretly teaching myself how to use a sword and created the first circle. The matriarch thought for a moment, then exclaimed, I've heard that blood runs thick. If you're like your father and older sister, you must be very talented. Through this conversation, Erna suddenly recalled the identity of this body's father. That's right, this body's father was a mercenary. Older sister. What happened to my older sister? Realizing she had inadvertently brought up something unpleasant, the matriarch quickly shook her head. No, it's not like that. Anyway, whatever you want, I will support you. Studying. Don't you dislike studying? Yes, I've been studying secretly too. I'll study on my own for a while first. Hearing this, the matriarch cried out in surprise again. You studying? Weren't you constantly failing at the academy and eventually advised to withdraw? Erna explained shyly. Because Phil and Fiona weren't doing well academically at the academy, I felt that if I studied too well, it would attract more resentment from the family. While answering calmly on the surface, she inwardly breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness I heard about Phil and Fiona. The matriarch was initially surprised, but now she was overjoyed. That reasoning makes sense. You hid your sharp abilities and ambitions well. You must have endured much hardship. This old woman truly has no face to see you. Erna shook her head, denying it. Please don't say that, grandmother. In this household, the only person who ever cared about me was you, my grandmother. These sincere words moved the matriarch to tears. You truly are my granddaughter. I will definitely recover my health and nurture you properly. Just wait a moment. First, we should resolve the immediate problem. Under these circumstances, even for the crimes committed by my son, I have no face to seek an audience with His Highness, the Crown Prince. Hearing this, Erna spoke up. Grandmother, if you wish to seek His Highness's forgiveness, I have a good idea. What is it? How about forging a sword for the Crown Prince? The Medina family's swords are renowned for their exceptional quality, and I've heard he has a hobby of using swords. As a high-level master, he would surely be pleased with a sturdy sword capable of withstanding powerful magic. A sword made from the special adamantium metal. Those capable of handling adamantium are exceedingly rare. A sword. This could also mean becoming the royal sword once again. The matriarch pondered and nodded. All right, let me consider it seriously. But before that, what is your relationship with the Magic Tower Master? Mentioning this, Erna felt a bit awkward and answered vaguely. I met him by chance. By chance. A moment later, she left the matriarch. Immediately, a system notification was received. Matriarch Lorena loves you wholeheartedly. Reputation increased by 20, total 40. As my reputation increases, it seems Erna's wish to reconcile with Lorena. Good. Everything is gradually getting back on track. If I can progressively fulfill the life someone had always dreamed of, that wouldn't be bad either. After that, the butler who purchased the illegal poison was sentenced to death, and Rosie was sentenced to lifelong hard labor. Furthermore, Gunther's family continued to live in the old wooden house farthest from the main residence. Then, on a beautiful dusk evening, another person appeared before Erna. Hello, Erna. Long time no see. There's something I wanted to ask you. Is it true you're looking to marry a top-tier expert? Hearing this, Ern was taken aback, exclaiming, Where did you hear that? Did he investigate my background? Faced with her question, Seal answered honestly, leaving her speechless. Don't you know? The chaos within the Medina family is already quite famous. Rumors have spread throughout the entire empire. Everyone knows Ern wrote down her goals and posted them on the wall. What do you know? No. So, are you here to marry me or what? She explained, nursing a headache. That's not right. All your feelings are just side effects of consciousness. Seal, standing before her, countered her words. But, teacher, although I don't understand emotions, I have deep feelings for you. Isn't that also called liking? Ern cut him off coldly. Don't joke around. I'm serious this time, and besides, you don't like me. Seal paused, stunned, asking, How can you be so sure? I just know. Ern thought inwardly as she replied. When you like someone, even the smartest person in the world becomes foolish. But just go, Seal. See you next time, Ern. Returning to her room, Ern's head throbbed. Where had that child she wanted to protect out of kindness gone? And now an uninvited guest had arrived too. In this life, it seemed there were more than just one or two things that needed changing. Mila, throw all these things away. Pointing at the ornate dresses in the wardrobe, Ern continuously instructed the maid. This one, that one too. Get rid of all these fussy and expensive frills. There can't be any crazy pink in my wardrobe. Dispose of them all immediately. I'm not sure if these can be sold, but it doesn't matter. Mississippi hearing this, Ern nodded and waved her hand. Then I'll leave it to you. Incidentally, her gaze fell upon a uniform placed in her wardrobe. Why didn't Kears take this back? Does he have too many clothes? I suppose I should wear this when I'm bored, although I can't do it directly. The next day, at the Crown Prince's palace, an item was delivered. The Medina family sent something like this. Looking at the sword before him, the Crown Prince suddenly gave a cold order. Return it. Your Highness means. Fake funerals are becoming popular in the Empire. The knight, Rebel, nodded and explained. It said that people are buying fake medicines from the black market that induce a state similar to death to hold fake funerals. The number of elderly people requiring hospitalization due to the side effects of these drugs is rapidly increasing. How pitiful and despicable, the Crown Prince declared coldly. Issue an official announcement and enforce it. Stop them from holding fake funerals and punish the Medina family for failing to set an example as nobles. Yes, understood. Just then, Chief Advisor Oren walked in carrying a wooden box. Your Highness, the Medina family has sent a gift. From the Medina family. Inside the box lay a sword, both beautiful and exceedingly sharp. The knight Rebel beside him excitedly explained nonstop. This is the first time I've seen an adamantium sword of such high quality. The Medina family truly lives up to its name as a renowned sword forging house. Oh, are those warm light characters written in an ancient language? I thought it was a drawing. It depicts white snow melts, but dark eyes do not resemble loyalty. The chief advisor helped Rebel interpret the meaning of the lines. It means if you can forgive us this time, we will repay you with eternal loyalty. But even after the explanation, Rebel still seemed utterly confused. Suddenly, the Crown Prince asked, Oren, was this sword the only thing sent? Hearing this, the chief advisor pulled a letter from his pocket. Ah, there's also a letter. The contents read, I yearn to wash away our sins through loyalty to the royal family. If the white snow melts and all sins are exposed, our family shall vanish under the royal family's name. Please forgive my granddaughter. Though not recognized by the world, that child truly possesses admirable talent. After hearing the letter, the crown prince asked curiously, did that foolish girl request this sword be made? Rebel, standing beside him, explained, P.S. This is a secret letter sent without anyone in the family knowing. The power of love is truly astonishing. That young girl declared she would marry the most handsome master in the empire. Isn't that obviously our crown prince? Other top masters are handsome too, but this sword reflects His Highness's taste. I'm certain I can figure out who that sweetheart is. But unexpectedly, the crown prince coldly ordered, return it. Send it back immediately. Oh dear, he's furious. Why is he so displeased? After the gift was returned, Erna was quite angry, complaining to her grandmother. His Highness the Crown Prince sent the sword back. It seems the turmoil within this family won't settle down anytime soon. The Crown Prince is still so troublesome, truly annoying. Did he say anything? The messenger said that after seeing the sword, he felt it utterly lacked courtesy. I really don't understand what that means either. Hearing this, Erna pondered and concluded, it seems he wants us to present the item in person. I think His Highness the Crown Prince was displeased because we only sent the sword. The matriarch agreed with this assessment. Indeed, you're quite right. At this time, we should immediately request an audience at the palace. Seeing this, Erna stopped her grandmother, volunteering, Grandmother, let me go. I will respectfully present the sword in return. Please rest assured. Faced with her granddaughter's firm resolve and confident demeanor, the matriarch immediately agreed. Then I shall wait for you in the garden. On the way to the palace, she recalled her grandmother's instructions, thinking, I didn't expect grandmother to be so worried. Is it really all right for me to go alone? Then, she encountered that person in the upper garden. The crown prince was dozing off. He summoned me here, yet he's asleep. Your Highness, she began. The crown prince blinked his eyes open. Erna, in a daze, he saw the overlapping image of an old acquaintance again. Yes, Your Highness, it is I. Are you tired? The crown prince froze, realizing the girl before him was not the one he had been longing for. Seeing his surprised expression, Erna explained somewhat awkwardly, it's because today, as the representative of the Medina family, I was scheduled for an audience with Your Highness. Have you forgotten your appointment? Faced with this question, the crown prince could only remain silent. Then, he uttered a perplexing statement. Come to think of it, there's more than one strange thing. You, for someone nicknamed Country Pumpkin Fool, aren't you far too clever? This remark put Erna inwardly on guard. Why is he suddenly saying such things? Since when did local fool come to mean clever? The crown prince questioned as he stood up and approached her. You said you imitated Urquana to attract my attention. If that plan had succeeded, then I would have started to care about you. So, what do you intend to do now? With these words, he gently pinched her chin, causing her to scream inwardly in anger. This lunatic, if you knew I was actually Urquana, would you throw up right now? Then why were you so fixated on Urquana, and now you're acting like this? He's known as the most handsome man in the Empire. Foolish girls like handsome men. It's obvious he's clumsily trying to test my reaction to probe my nerves. I don't know. Ernest sighed, grasping his hand. Your Highness, actually, I am not foolish. Didn't you already know my family dislikes me? That's why I had to pretend to be foolish. The reason I imitated Urquana was also part of a plan. I wanted to inform His Majesty the ruler about what is happening within the Medina family. Therefore, Your Highness, that it means that even if you show interest in me, I cannot reciprocate. The crown prince's face turned cold as he asked, Are you saying you've been toying with me all this time? Erna lowered her head. Then, please forgive me. The crown prince's face darkened, and he loudly ordered her to get out quickly. Does my family still have chance? The crown prince shook his head wearily. I will spare you. Now get lost. All right, thank you. Having received the answer she sought, Ern happily departed. The crown prince's next words, however, made her freeze. It's too early to thank me yet. If you cause any more trouble, negatively impacting others. Yes, Your Highness. Ern smiled, placing a hand on her chest. Since you have spared me, I shall live well. What? The crown prince immediately turned to look back, but the girl had already vanished some time ago. What? On the table still lay the wooden box containing the sword and a set of clothes. Afterwards, news regarding this matter became a topic of much discussion. Was that foolish young lady of the Medina family truly innocent? Yes, the crown prince's special task force discovered this. Isn't this the first time a family under His Majesty's scrutiny has been found innocent of any crime? Meanwhile, Ern was examining a document and addressed the person sitting opposite her. You're called Uni, a mercenary. Isn't that right? You've even reached the third circle. Quite impressive. Thank you for the compliment, milady. The mercenary, Uni, seated opposite, replied promptly. Of course, the young man had his own questions as he looked at the girl before him. Does she really intend to wield a sword with such a frail body? I could see she merely wants to learn it as a hobby. What exactly does she see in swordsmanship? If I weren't injured, I wouldn't have even attended this kind of interview. You'd be better off finding another job. Just then, Earn continued her questioning. Will you work diligently? Honestly, I don't really plan to. Before he could finish, Earn interrupted. Will you teach me swordsmanship meticulously, starting from the basics? Even if you don't want to work, you'd still like to earn money easily, wouldn't you? Though greatly surprised by the question, the young man nodded. A silence followed. He assumed the girl before him was joking and that he wouldn't possibly get the job. Until Earn spoke again. You've passed the interview. You have the skill, but lack motivation, and you're a mercenary. You are exactly who I'm looking for. I will take down the recruitment notice immediately. The mercenary was utterly stunned by the girl's peculiar method of hiring with strange requirements. Huh, milady, could you please explain? Orn chuckled. Ah, you said your name is Uni, right? I will hire you. So cooperate a little and pretend to be smart. However, there are a few conditions. First, no matter what happens, do not interfere with my training. Second, my training is a secret, so ensure no one monitors what happens here. If anyone gets curious, just say the client is very sensitive and doesn't wish to be seen training. Lastly, pretend to teach me seriously. If you do these things, I will pay you handsomely. Hearing these demands, the mercenary was completely dumbfounded. Milady, what on earth are you up to? Unpaid little mind to his reaction, simply requesting, if you have no objections, we shall begin lessons tomorrow. The next day, the lessons commenced, but the mercenary had nothing to do. Earn trained entirely on her own. A maid stood nearby, chatting idly with the mercenary. What do you think of our young lady? She's truly remarkable, isn't she? Remarkable. The mercenary looked at the young lady before him, his gaze utterly transformed. He was astounded by her ability. With every swing of her sword, mana radiated outwards in all directions. The word impressive could no longer describe her. What kind of place is this? Where has someone so talented been hiding? All this time, everyone said she was practicing in seclusion for certain reasons, but in reality, she's a genius. Moreover, Our Lady hails from the renowned Medina family. Ah, the mercenary agreed with this sentiment. Indeed, I've heard that knightly families, passed down through generations, are naturally born with strong magical constitutions. Moreover, this young lady, Erna, was struggling internally, her mind in turmoil. She possessed the potential to become a high master. If I learn swordsmanship from this person, can I truly return to the battlefield again? As the training concluded, a maid brought a letter. My lady, there's a message from Drunken Barbecue. What? When? Didn't you say just a while ago not to disturb her during training, miss? That's why I waited. All right, well done, Mira. MMM. After reading the contents of the letter, Erna's gaze flickered, and immediately she ordered the maid, Mira, prepare a red umbrella at once, right away. I need to go out. I had paid Drunken Barbecue, the secret intelligence organization, and their response regarding the information and whereabouts of Viscount Layson Liu had only arrived today. Last time, she had asked them to search for information about the Viscount. Today, he would be going there to inspect his property. If I had seen this letter any later, I would have missed the chance to meet Layson. Was my money spent in vain? Because the information they provided me, that was too late. As she sat waiting irritably, she heard a strange voice beside her. Hey, young miss, this bouquet is for you. For me. Who asked you to give it to me? She accepted the bouquet, puzzled, but the young man turned and walked away. What? How could he leave without telling me anything? Not only that, but a small note fell out from the bouquet. Layson's schedule has changed. There is important information to share today. Please proceed to the Intelligence Association immediately. Because of that, Erna changed direction again and headed towards Drunken Barbecue. What kind of intelligence requires someone to meet in person to obtain? She asked with a sense of unease the moment she stepped through the door. The service staff smiled apologetically. Well, I'd feel uncomfortable if you put it that way. I called you here because it's important information. You just need to enter this room and see for yourself. See for myself. With that, Erna walked into the office. Hello, Mississippi. A warm voice greeted her, along with a face that made her gasp in surprise. Ah, it's you. Viscount Layson smiled brightly. Yes, it's been a while, hasn't it? Ernest sank helplessly into the chair opposite him, exclaiming, you caught me. Viscount Layson chuckled in response. I should be the one saying that. You've been investigating me for some time now. Hearing this, Erna was taken aback, crying out, wait, how did you know I purchased information about you? As one of the largest investors in the Intelligence Association, I requested that they notify me immediately whenever someone sends a request for information about me. Now it's your turn. Why did you? Let's send a request to investigate me. Faced with the question, she was momentarily at a loss for words. Then Layson suddenly called her name. Erna, is it because your dream is to marry a man who stands at the very top? The question made her freeze, then blush furiously. You? How did you know that? Layson chuckled at her reaction. It seems you know how to buy information at the Intelligence Association, but you don't seem aware of the rumors that have shaken the entire empire. His attitude made Erna feel utterly mortified. Has he been teasing me all this time? She clenched her skirt helplessly and nodded. That is also my goal. My true goal. That is to become as strong as a high master, right? Please let me join your mercenary group. What? The response left him stunned for a long moment, before he burst into unexpected laughter. With such a frail body, you want to be a mercenary. I won't allow it. Facing his skepticism, Erna hastily explained, even with this body, perhaps I can wield a sword better than you imagine. I come from a family of knights, you know. If you don't believe me, not how about a bet? Saying this, she picked up a walnut she held in her hand. If you cannot take this walnut from my hand within 5 minutes, let me take the mercenary admission test. Isn't that too trivial a challenge for you? But just as her words fell, the walnut in her hand completely vanished. Damn it, did he just use magic? The Viscount, standing opposite, spoke coolly. Stop playing games, Ern. Ern retorted, you should be ashamed for using magic. I couldn't help it. Being deadly and ruthless is part of being a mercenary. Eat this walnut and leave. Stop this childish game. I am serious. Which one? The Viscount was puzzled by this stubborn girl. Which path do you wish to choose? Joining the mercenary corps or dreaming of marrying a high-ranking master? Naturally, I reject both. First, consider seeking permission from all your guardians before you can become a mercenary. Back in the carriage, Ern recalled the conversation and screamed, I can't believe I left without answering that. Am I really going to become a hero like this? Anyway, let's calm down first. What he meant was, I should also seek Ernest's father's consent. Since I don't have a father, perhaps asking my grandmother is the quickest way. That evening, at a table laden with delicious dishes, Ern sat down to eat with her grandmother. She posed a question. There's something I want to ask you, grandmother. Before you fell ill, did you hear any news about my father? Hearing this, the head of the house put down her spoon and plate and sighed. Ern, have you truly lost contact with your father? Yes, grandmother. I don't even know where he is. I've been a bit worried lately, not having heard anything. The old woman sighed, with a displeased expression. I'm still not sure if I can talk to you about this. Hey, do you remember how your mother died? That's right, your sister went missing, your mother was distraught, and your father, being a mercenary, couldn't take proper care of your mother. That day, your mother had a high fever and was in terrible pain. You ran to the clinic as a child, but I heard that doctor refused to treat your mother, even though he had medicine. That doctor claimed women from immigrant families were dirty and refused to treat her. How pitiful for a child and an unfortunate mother. After that, your father, faced with your heartbroken mother, supposedly went to seek revenge on the doctor on that street. Although everyone blamed the doctor, I hated your father at that time too. Ern pondered and continued asking, so you once thought my father killed my mother? The head of the house sighed and nodded. It was like that back then. I wasn't thinking clearly either. True, our Fiona was truly perfect, beautiful. She went on to recall the real mother of this body, thinking that mother must have suffered greatly. At this moment, the head of the house continued, actually, there's one more thing I need to apologize to you for. I once visited your parents when they were living in seclusion. Fiona asked me to come see my granddaughter. Yes, your sister was beside you then too. So one had a sister back then. Yes, the child I glimpsed still haunts my mind to this day. That child had the physique of a knight and possessed magic she could play with. It was truly a beautiful sight. If I brought you both back then, your sister might still be alive today. Grandmother's memories plunged Ern into an indescribable emotional state. She wondered why she felt such pain for a past that wasn't truly her own. This old woman was wrong. Because of the guilt of not being able to help Fiona and your sister, I failed to take good care of you. Unhid her emotions and comforted her. Please don't apologize, grandmother. It was a tragedy no one could have foreseen. Don't let these things weigh on your heart anymore. Thank you, Ern. A moment later, only the elderly head of the house remained in the dining room, holding a glass of wine. She suddenly remembered something she had forgotten, that child I saw long ago, battling the poison. I was too distracted then to know who it was, but today I remembered grandmother. Opening my eyes, I thought I had woken up because of that child, but it turned out to be our Erna who woke me. I had confused that child with Erna, and meanwhile, Erna was in her room, receiving the letters her maternal grandmother had just given her. You told me to throw away all the letters sent by your father, but I kept them because I thought you might want to find him someday. These letters are from Erna's father. If I read them, can I find out where he is now? Yes, surely I can find even the slightest clue, right? After spending some time diligently reading through the letters, I read about 100 letters and came to a conclusion. Erna's father loved Erna very much. He sent his daughter plenty of pocket money and always told her about trivial things. If only she could have accepted his care sooner. But why is there no name and address? This is the emblem of the Crusader Mercenary Corps. Ryzen often leads the team into dungeons and distributes magic stones. No one can track the mercenary group under Ryzen's command. However, there is also the Crusade campaign, known as the Small Elite Mercenary Group, a wealthy, highly respected figure coveted by everyone. So that's how it was. There is a winter temple that teaches martial arts and magic. Because people must prove their talent rather than their status to be admitted, the Shu family and many powerful people from all over the world have attended the academy. Ryzen graduated from the Winter Temple, and Rushton was his teacher. Since the Winter Temple is known for its strong master-student relationships, I guess the two of them had a similar bond. Then, as a disciple, Ryzen couldn't refuse someone introduced by his master, right? I need to see father immediately, but where is he now? The most recent letter. Erna quickly found the latest letter and saw what her father had written on it. Hey, I'm about to enter the Ice Dragon's lair right now. The journey to capture the Ice Dragon is long, and I don't know what will happen after entering the cave, so I'm leaving you this final message. I hope these won't be my last words. Rushton is an 8th ring mid-rank master. If he defeats a legendary dungeon boss, he will become a High Master. Could it be that this is his goal? But since that dungeon opened, almost no survivors have returned. No, father, come back quickly. Go to that iron wall that introduced Ryzen. At this moment, in the magic tower, Seal, with his icy expression, was lecturing the students here. Your research results seem poor. Did you go off to eat, drink, and rest? Even if you sober up, this isn't enough. This is the result because you don't want to share the fruits of your labor with the ungrateful tower master. However, as long as I live, I'm the master of this tower, the head of Hezron. If you don't understand this, I have no choice but to show everyone the laws of the tower. Just then, a servant entered and reported, Lord Magic Tower Master, I have urgent news to report. What is it? The woman you asked me to keep an eye on is currently. Hearing that news, Seal immediately signaled to the students. That's all for today. Good luck to you all. As for Erna, she was meeting someone asking for a favor but was refused. Miss, regarding what you want us to do, that kind of technology is currently unachievable. Oh, I've heard that before. Erna immediately got straight to the point. You're refusing to do this for me because it's too troublesome, aren't you? I will pay any amount, so please, you must help me. Before he could say anything else, Seal appeared behind her and called her name. Erna, what's going on? Are you finished with your business? Ah, Seal. Seeing a familiar face, Erna immediately explained. There's something I wanted to ask about. I really need to repair this sphere because I want to write a letter. After listening to her problem, Seal explained, you make such a polite request. Who do you need to send it to? The recipient is Rushton, the leader of the Crusader Mercenary Corps. Meanwhile, in an ice dungeon in another dimension, a mage, looking utterly exhausted, was attempting to draw a magic circle. Look, I nearly died trying to capture the Ice Dragon, Captain. Are you alright? The man called Captain shook his head firmly. No, I'm not alright. I can't die before seeing Erna's face. A soldier shouted angrily, what are you talking about? Pick up your sword quickly. Aha communication sphere test. 1, 2. A voice rang out, stunning them all into silence. It seemed to be the indifferent voice of a man. Is this Rushton? Seeking the leader of the Mercenary Corps. Erna Medina is looking for her guardian. The soldiers of the Mercenary Corps were completely bewildered, wondering where the voice was coming from. Where am I hearing this from right now? If Erna's father hears this voice, please respond via a nearby communication method. The captain was greatly surprised when the voice mentioned his daughter's name, and then the transmission cut off. Back in a room where Seal had just used the communication magic, based on my past experience, They must have received my message in the dungeon. If Rushton is still alive, he will contact you through the communication methods available in that legendary dungeon. Will the person you're so desperately seeking respond? Reacting to his form of address, Erna shook her head uncomfortably. I told you to call me Erna, but you didn't listen. Just then, a voice calling her name rang out. The voice came from the magic sphere in front of her. I've finally reached my father. I'm so happy. Hearing her father's voice, Erna replied calmly. The door behind you is rattling. Is someone out there? Oh, it's just a monster. A rather large one. His tone was strangely calm, as if discussing trivial matters, yet concerned a monster from the legendary dungeon. Hurry, come quickly, Captain. Urgent voices and screams followed immediately. The door, the last line of defense, has been breached. The ice dragon is preparing its breath attack. Hearing those sounds, Erna grew even more worried, having studied ice dragons herself before. Ice dragons exhale frigid air to weaken their opponents. One must keep a clear head and ignite the determination to survive the cold. What should I say to Rushton to strengthen his resolve? Remember to eat on time, stay healthy. Food, that's right. Rushton always worried about Erna's eating habits. So she spoke loudly into the magic sphere. Dad, remember to bring melon bread when you come back. Buy one melon bread, and make sure it's the one you bought yourself, Dad. Also, Dad, the ice dragon's weak spot is the scaleless area under its chin. Find that spot, strike there first, then slit its throat. From the other side of the magic sphere, her father's questioning voice sounded again. Oh, how did you know that? The master of the magic tower told me. You know, he's the youngest duke in the empire and renowned as a high master. Playing along, Seal immediately spoke up. Hello, I'm the master of the magic tower. But it seemed her father misunderstood something, asking frantically, wait, Erna, do you have a boyfriend? Absolutely not. She felt helpless, even in this situation. That's what he was worried about. On the other end, her father shouted angrily, hey, you damn magic tower master. If you dare touch my Erna, I won't forgive you. These words left both Erna and Seal speechless and exasperated. He's quite an interesting person, isn't he? Thank you for your help, Seal. But taking the opportunity, Seal proposed. Shall we take a walk? Let's just stroll casually. And so, the two walked together under the moonlight. Erna asked with concern, how have you been lately? Are you doing well? Is my naive and foolish Seal doing well now? Are those the words you want to hear? In that case, perhaps leaving my master would bring more peace of mind. Seal sighed, thinking to himself, but what should I do? I wish to make master uncomfortable. If I said I wasn't doing well, would you give me a look of sympathy? I won't force you to see me every day. Just stealing glances occasionally would be enough. It's been a long time. I miss the days when I was your Seal. It was during their first meeting when Araquana greeted the boy. You've always been here, haven't you? Whom shall I take you out? Seal possessed powerful, yet complex magical energy, preventing him from forming magic circles. To think a child born into a family of the magic tower couldn't properly control mana. Secondly, they couldn't withstand the power they held and died young. Upon hearing Teacher Aquana's suggestion, the child showed fear. Are you saying? I have a tying constitution, and I'll die young. At that time, Urquana comforted the boy. Don't worry, Seal. I can save you. Then, who exactly are you? Faced with this question, Talqua, Araquana, smiled and answered silently in her heart, me. I'm the one who came to steal from your family. But I can't say that, can I? So she gave an answer that has been used ever since. I am your master, no one else. Congratulations on conquering the twin-headed dragon. Now, choose a guardian randomly. 1. Mini Mayashiki Demon World Library Infiltration Card. 2. White Dragon Scale, transforming the body into scales that deflect all attacks. 3. White Dragon's Breath, the ability to control temperature. Give me anything but that useless number 1. But in the end, she drew the most useless number 1. You can ask the Demon World 5 questions. Think of a skill name, and then shout your question. Overly frustrated, she tossed the sphere aside. Back then, she thought she had chosen a truly useless skill, but now it was proving useful. And so, relying on her useless skill, she made a request to the World Library. Cinderella, him, the son of a mage, tying constitution, bearing demon blood. Tell me how to save that child. Then she found the right book. A catalog of delicacies, devouring humans with special constitutions in a human realm. If found, they must be kidnapped. Catalog of delicacies. Why such a title? Is it a Demon World cookbook? If it only contained actual cooking information, she felt she would go mad again. The book stated that if humans with this constitution learned to control magic through advanced training, they could become wizard practitioners more capable than anyone else. However, if the window for treatment was missed, they could die, hence the desire for treatment using magic and mana. When the boy heard his teacher's words back then, he was genuinely surprised. "You really found a way to cure me." Urquhart nodded, then asked, "Before that, do you know about mandragora?" It's the flower known as the essence of magic, taking hundreds of years to grow, which is why I was sent here. It's said that eating mandragora helps you build mana to become a mage. If I eat it, will I be able to control magic? Urquhart shook her head, denying the possibility. If you eat it, your already powerful mana will be amplified, and you might lose control. Then you could die. I will tell you another way to construct magic circles without dying. We just need to exchange your body and mind. I will use the forbidden body-swapping magic. If my soul enters your body, I can calm your overheated mana. Once the emergency treatment is done, I will fix your magical structure so you can easily build mana circulation in the future. You might even master the first magic circle within a month or two. The method sounded insane, yet remarkably feasible. The child, Seal, desperately wanted to do it, but was also worried. Is this possible? Will there be side effects? Teacher, Urquhart continued calmly, I don't know if you trust me, but the truth is, I am indeed a high-rank master. I am exceptionally skilled at handling mana, so if others can't do it, I am confident I still can. Of course, there will be side effects. Not for me, but for you. This magic is used by demons, and those who receive demonic magic are bound to lose something precious. I figured as much. Having clearly understood that the side effects only affected the recipient, the boy decided immediately, then I'll do it, because after meeting you, teacher, I want to live longer. After the magical treatment succeeded, what Seal lost were his emotions. Seal's sense of morality became paralyzed along with them, transforming him into a completely different person. This was an unexpected side effect that Urquhart had not foreseen. That child had once frantically told her, "Teacher, when our bodies swapped and our magic connected, I truly wish time could stop forever." However, Urquhart believed it would all eventually end. After healing Seal, she stole a flower and ran away for a while, and it seemed he was searching for her too. But ultimately, Seal dedicated himself to cultivation and became a high master. She heard he had ascended to the rank of Grand Lord, surpassing all other heirs. She thought everything had finally settled. When she returned after dying and coming back to life, perhaps he showed a fleeting interest in her. Although he thought she was about to leave again, Seal put on the act of a weak, pitiful puppy, pleading, "I think I was quite useful this time. Could you hold my hand before you go back? I feel my soul connected to yours, Master. I truly miss this feeling. I am genuinely happy to see you again." Master, when a high master is about to be born, the entire empire pays attention. Yet now there's no sign of anything. Is the situation in the dungeon severe? Please, make sure you survive and come back. She prayed silently for her father.